What's up?
What's happening, everybody? Yes.
We
Hell yeah.
If you guys have been following this week, I guess you are already aware that we do have a special guest with us
Yep.
this evening. So
Everybody should be in the know.
yeah,
Waiting backstage right now, we got a couple of sexy bitches from Ohio.
Ask them, they'll tell you. Yeah,
I bet they didn't. I bet they didn't think we heard that. But
yeah. They're fresh off of a coming back from a show and running over a guy with a bicycle with a lawnmower motor. And I'm just
That's
kidding.
right.
I don't think they hit the guy, but they did see a guy like that. So.
and they passed the house a few times. So
yes. Where's my house again? All right, let's bring these guys in here, man. I'm ready to talk to those guys. You kind of set this up, so I haven't had no interaction with these guys yet. So it's kind of going to be like a fresh start for me. So
we have joining us from Cleveland, Ohio. We have Gavin and Cody from Kissing Lilith on the show. They will be joining us as soon as Jason hits the button. They'll be
hey, there they are.
There they are.
We're on stage.
Yeah, we're on stage.
We're on stage.
Oh my goodness! Am I using the fake British accent that the guy at the speakeasy was saying?
No, just fucking. You guys heard everything.
Are we allowed to curse?
Yes.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
That's great. You guys heard everything. When did you jump? When did you guys log in and were able to hear us? Because we were driving and we didn't see anyone in the studio. We weren't even sure that we were in it properly yet because we were trying to get to our destination.
I was in the living room with the granddaughter, and then I came in here about 10 till. So, and you guys were already on there, and then Chris popped in. I was listening to you guys before he even popped in. So
yeah, I was
kind of like trying to figure out what I was looking at because it was kind of like he said, it was like the headliner of the car.
It was the roof of your car.
I'm like, I said, where are they at? What are they doing? Like,
you were in Cody's lap.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Most places.
So
I was about to say I
gave my first lap dance. Go there.
Yeah,
That's your first lap. I am so honored. What an honor.
Was it as good for you as it was for him?
It's great.
I've definitely had worse weekends. So
yeah, right.
I'll take that as my first lap dance.
Oh man.
I remember I had a buddy Paul, and he's one of those people that didn't become intimate at all until he was like in his mid-20s, and me and a buddy Joe took him to a strip club for his first time last year, and he spent like $300 on dances in an hour.
Wow.
What a god.
Just came back with a bigger smile every time and just said, "Can I get more money?
Can I get more money?" Well, he didn't pay for it. How is he going to be disappointed? Is that his legal name? It was Joe.
Yeah, this is all the real names. I'm really bad at coming up with fake names.
Yeah, really bad. You didn't think about it for a second. Like, damn. Everybody Joe's probably sitting there being like, Gavin, I mean, I ain't disappointed.
He's like, why would you say that?
Why wouldn't you say that? I mean,
starting off the show, we're not even 5 minutes in. A birthday lamp dance.
You're right. Yes.
An interview lap dance from my lap.
That's right. So, all right. So we were talking in the the backstage area before the show, and you guys were coming back from a show, which I did see the post on TikTok earlier because I recognized the hat. It's hard to forget that hat. But so you guys were telling us about the show, so fill us in on more of the details of where you guys are coming back from.
So we just came back from Musica in downtown Akron, Ohio. So that's one of the, I would say, bigger venues that's over in Akron. It brings in some national acts, but it was, they called it the Homie Fest.
Sure.
Because it was all of these bands from the Northeast Ohio area, and all of us have either been in a band together, thumbs this way, or we have played with each other, or it's just, a bunch of friends that are in bands that are, I would say, relatively successful. So we got to see all of our guys from Dead Cassette. We got to see our friends from Seldom Fade. We got to see our guys from Dreamwalkers. So, everybody that has just been in the Northeast Ohio music scene.
Those get Feather.
I know Featherweight. Give me a gosh darn second. Anyway, but no, it's just a bunch of friends. Like everywhere that you walk in the music venue, there were probably, what would you say, Gavin, like 200 people?
At least 200, 250. Yeah.
Everywhere you go, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's you from the thing with the thing. And
it was definitely a packed show.
It was a packed show.
It was nice because, usually when you go to local shows, it's packed for like one, maybe two of the artists, whether it's the beginning artist or like the final playing artist. But this was consistently throughout the whole night. I don't think there was any band that had more of a crowd than another on average. No, it was very consistent.
It was packed from the beginning, and it makes sense because quite literally everybody in the scene knows everybody. So it was fun. You don't get too many shows like that in the area.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a blast, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because we have a collaborator here in Middle Tennessee that we work with, and he puts on a lot of shows. And one of the things that I kind of noticed that really that bums me out, especially for the bands later on in the set, is that by the time the headliner comes on, it's like basically us doing our live stream and then everyone who's there working and then like other bands and like where the fuck did everybody go? You paid, you paid to get in and you're not even going to stay the whole time. This shit pisses me off. So I don't, and that's the funny thing is I'm not even in any of the bands, but I mean I'm there because when we get together with our friend Dana, that's his name. He puts on a lot of shows here in Middle Tennessee, and by the time the show's over, the headliner's there, and like I say, there's almost no one left, and it just bothers me. And we're just there working. I mean, we're there as fans. We're there for Dana. He's become a friend of ours.
Networking.
Yeah, we're networking, but I mean, we're working and we're there for our buddy. We're there to support our local scene here, and for him to go through all that trouble and for all the bands to show up and all that good stuff, for them to put their heart and soul into it, and then by the time the last band comes up, it's basically just the people who are putting on the show and us, a couple of guys just doing a live stream. It's like, where the hell did all the fans go? So I mean, I feel bad, and I don't understand it because I've never left a show early. Whether I've paid $10 to get in or $150 to get in, I've never left a show early. I don't understand that whole mindset. I mean, I get
there's a couple shows they had to push us out of. So.
No, that's true. That's true. They've told us, all right, you guys have got to go. It's time to go. So I mean, but I don't understand that. So I mean, to be able to go to a show like you guys just went to, and everyone shows up and stays the whole time. Awesome, that's awesome to hear. I'm glad for that. Segueing off of that. The band that you guys are currently in now, Kissing Lilith, according to the information on the social media, has risen from the ashes of other bands. So tell us about that.
Oh, that's such a cheesy line, but it's accurate.
Fuck you! I thought that was good.
It's cheesy as fuck, but it's accurate.
I thought that was a good line.
It's good for people that don't like cheese, Gavin. Anyway, but I know you like cheese. Anyway. But it is a good line. I give you a hard time. I give him a hard time because I love him.
Tim Ripper Owens has been quoted as saying his cheese pays the bills.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, don't start me on that because you're right.
Yes.
But he is it is very accurate because essentially what that does mean is the fact he and I were both in very successful bands. He was in Dying Desolation, and I was in a band called Ozolith, and we both were playing like festival level venues. And at one point, I personally was able to pay all my bills with music as an engineer and then as a performer before I settled down. And Gavin has a whole resume of be DJing and performing. And at a certain point, all of those projects just died because of one reason or another. For my project personally, I was not being fulfilled anymore from what we were producing, and I felt rather soulless in my my musical adventure. I can't speak for him personally, of course, because that's his own endeavor.
Right.
But I personally felt that everything that I had done up until that point was over. And coming into this project, I was able to bring everything that I learned from all of those projects previously and put it towards something that I felt I was getting more out of creatively. I mean, it kind of just poetically says everything that you need to in the statement itself. From the ashes of all bands, something new has come up, and I will not speak for him because that's ignorant.
Yeah. And then for me, the way that it was, The first band that I was in, I was 17. My bandmates were both 15. Was Dying Desolation. We were in high school, and we did that for 3 years before they decided that they wanted to change the sound. And to do that, they wanted a new singer, and so they ended up voting against me and firing me from the band, which was a huge shot to my not only just ego but self-confidence in my ability to sing. Like I stopped singing for a while after that, unless it was like I sang in choir in school, and that's because it was a class, and I still loved and enjoyed singing, but that was really all I did. Even singing on my own really came to like a kind of a standstill for quite a while until I joined a band called Ghost Static, and I was with them for 3 years, and I was the bassist and backup vocalist for that band, and I really enjoyed it. I'd set myself and my bass on fire on stage and just really put on a show. I do fire breathing and things like that. Well, they got an opportunity to play Incarceration.
Okay.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
A month before the show, the lead singer fired me because he said that I was too young and inexperienced to go to the next level with them. And
Jesus
that
Christ.
was, yeah, and then, as far as I'm concerned, they're at the exact same level that they've been now a year and a half, 2 years later. But again, that was such like a huge shot to my self-confidence, because the first time around, we were in high school and everything and kids, and I was 20 at the time when I departed from Dying Desolation, but it was our first project. There was a lot of things, and I agree with them too. My voice developed significantly over the years.
Sure, yeah.
But they were younger than me as well, and I could kind of chalk it up to us just being young. When I was in Ghost Static, I was the youngest by about 20 years. Everybody else was either 40 or pushing 40, and I was still, 21, 22 years old.
Really that old?
Yeah.
They're really that old?
Yeah, they're significantly older.
I guess I didn't realize that they were that old.
Yeah, no, they're significantly older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So
it's
when that
be
happened,
short right now. So you're
yeah, and so when that happened,
That old,
because
like, really?
I looked at them as like kind of like older siblings that I didn't have, and especially the lead singer. So when that happened, and it was also over text too, which I felt was very just shallow and disrespectful. And every time I tried calling him about it, he just ghosted me. No pun intended. And so it just really just kind of destroyed me. And I ended up going through an awful breakup that we can get into later, because that's relevant to the first song we released, where the woman I was with at the time, she kicked me out of my childhood home. She faked a pregnancy to the extent of buying a fake stomach on Amazon.
Oh my Lord.
God.
She had a baby shower and everything. And just tried to fuck up my whole life to the point where I was seeing a woman who lived in Florida, and I almost moved down there to just go live with her and just restart my life. I ended up going down there for a week to see how I liked living with her, to figure it out, and just be like, am I just gonna pack my bags and just kind of just run away from everything? And Cody had posted a audition for a band that he was in previous to this one, Ozolith, looking for a lead singer, and I thought, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll audition, just see, what it's all about, and just kind of hang out. I don't expect to get into it. I don't expect to like really take it seriously, but my self-confidence and my ego, especially in the back of my head, was like, I really want to get this part. I really want to have something to keep me in Ohio, because I was unsure about the woman that I was seeing in Florida. I was unsure about the situation.
Right.
And I made the decision before doing the audition to not move down there. And then I kind of held on to the audition as something to really keep me and just kind of give me new roots.
Sure.
And I went to do the audition, and I did a second audition. I think I might have done like a third one with you guys as well. Just two.
No, I think it was one or two.
That's right. It was two of them.
Yeah, he did one with me, and then he did one with the band.
Yes. Oh, and then I came over and we did the demo.
Yes.
So there were
because I was pitching.
Yes. Because Cody really, really wanted me to be the lead singer. The drummer wanted another guy, and the bassist was in between. And by the end of it, I didn't end up getting the part. And I wasn't as crushed as I was with the other music projects, just because I understood, like, it's an audition. It is what it is. I've auditioned before and have not gotten the part. But it did still suck. And so Cody reached out to me and he said, hey, I don't agree with this decision. I really want to work with you. let's make music. To which I responded, oh yeah, totally, let's do that. Thinking how every guy in the scene says, oh, we should totally do something together. And then you never hear from him again.
Right. Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, he sends me like fucking 12 guitar tracks a couple days later and just says, tell me what you like. And I went through expecting them to be like very similar. Everyone was drastically different. And that's when I realized that not only was he serious about working with me, but that not only was he serious about working with me, but that he actually believed in me. And that just gave me so much confidence. And I just immediately started listening, picking out, I picked like 3 or 4 that I really liked, started writing down lyrics, started demoing them out. And we eventually landed on Lipstick and Gasoline to be our first single. And that's the one that I wrote about my ex Carly, who faked that pregnancy and just put me through hell. And yeah, and that's like, this is going to be our first sound. This is how we're going to introduce ourselves. And since then, we've just been kind of experimenting with sounds and looks and styles and really shaping who we are as not only artists, but as this band, as this group.
So
I'm glad you answered that, because when I heard that song, I'm like, damn, who hurt you, guy?
Yeah, that's who hurt me. Oh, she kicked me out of my childhood home. She fucking killed my dog. She like all kinds of crazy.
Shit. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
she's a winner.
Okay, all right.
Sound like you at least dodged a bullet with that one.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah. Oh, she just had a kid.
What a woman.
Yeah, she got someone. It wasn't me, but she got someone.
She got somebody. Gotcha, bitch.
Got somebody. I wish him nothing but the best.
He will not get the best.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dripping out of these glasses. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, first off, I'm having more and more of a difficult time believing anything serious about either of you guys, because you said you realized that he was serious about working with you. I have a hard time believing that at all, that he was serious about anything. So, especially with those fucking glasses on.
Yeah, I know. I'm a stinker.
So,
it's about balance, because
right.
when we're hanging out, when we're in the studio or dicking around, that's we're being ourselves, doing interviews, we're having a good time. We are entertaining not for the sake of being entertained, but that's just because we love to live life. We love to say yes. We love to just experiment and do weird shit. We're not afraid to be ourselves. When it comes to the actual music, when it comes to behind the scenes, the marketing, the budgeting out each song, what we're going to do for advertising, how we're going to shoot this, how we're going to improve each and every day, what are we going to focus on for this next song that we did differently from the previous song. We do take that very seriously, but we don't want to take ourselves too seriously.
No, I don't take myself seriously for a second. But when it comes to art and when it comes to analyzing business, anything analytical, I sit down with quite literally a spreadsheet of things that I want to go over with Gavin.
Yeah.
See, I have a finance background as well, which I know a lot of people seem to never believe. But I know, crazy. I'm actually a real analytical son of a bitch. But when it comes to songwriting, I write everything in the sense of what the Berklee standard is for songwriting. So I went and studied jazz guitar in college. So at a collegiate level, I like to understand music theory and the songwriting structure. But I studied at the University of Akron, but I've also taken quite a few free courses that you can get at Berklee, which more people should take advantage of. I don't know why people don't take advantage of. You can get like 3 semesters from Berklee for free that is just on the internet. Regardless. So it's a very good template of what you should look at from the perspective of a songwriter. And I feel like not enough people take advantage of that. So when it comes to actually putting together a song, I think of everything from the perspective of, is the chord progression making sense? Is there enough movement? Is there modulation? Does my finger go in his mouth fast enough? But from a musical standpoint, I do take everything very seriously. Despite the persona of me being what I would consider an unhinged lunatic. But I feel like it's more fun to be that way, to be a creative genius in a sense. I shouldn't quote myself as a genius. That's very, very narcissistic. You guys my pretentious prick. Anyway, potential prick. Anyway, there's our perspective. But when it does come down to songwriting, I think about what would fit Gavin's vocals in the most appropriate sense of accompaniment. And when we go into the studio, I like to work with the producers that we're working with and the engineers and sit down and be like, this is what we have. Help us formulate something that is going to give us the best result for his vocals. So when I have something written, it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the final draft. We'll go in and work with producers and songwriters, and it lights up randomly. I swear, I'm not doing this myself. But we'll work with these people that have been doing this craft for as long as I've been performing, and we'll take what they have to say into consideration and then have something at the end of it, which I feel is the strongest product we can have in the form of a song. End quote.
Yeah. So currently it's just you two guys, right?
Yeah, it's just us.
Yeah, it's just us.
For now.
So what's parts? I know you're the singer and you're a guitarist, but what about the other instrumentals?
So I write all the instrumentation and the accompaniment. When it comes to drums, we have worked with 2 session drummers so far. Okay. One I was previously in a band with, one Gavin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one I was previously in a band with. So Jordan Gannon, he was the drummer of Dying Desolation. He now has his own project. I can't remember the name of it though. They just started releasing music. But then he also does water drums with Mushroomhead as well, and they do their tours and everything.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. Right.
Yes, very talented. And then Brad, what's his last name?
Bradley Knepp.
Bradley Knepp. He was the drummer of Ozolith, and he's like a human metronome.
He really is. He's very talented.
Yeah, so we've been having them come in for the session drumming, and then Cody does the bass. We're releasing our new song, Kiss Me, Kill Me, this Sunday, the 27th. And we are also going to be announcing and officially launching auditions for a bassist and a drummer, or a guitarist. If we find a good enough guitarist that Cody approves of, then he will play bass. I don't care. Just write the songs.
Okay. So you're not necessarily beholden to being a 4-piece or a 5-piece. It's just whatever.
Whatever makes sense for the music.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever just kind of feels right.
Yeah. 4 is the sweet spot just because of scheduling and creative differences and coordination. But I'm definitely not opposed to 5 people.
5 is cool. You can do a lot more with 5, but
you can.
I have a history of having multiple players in a band where it just becomes utter chaos. Why would these turn? I don't know. I'm throwing them on the ground.
There you go. They turned off.
They turned off when I threw them on the ground.
And that's the nice thing, too, about it being just Cody and I right now to create such a strong foundation for the band.
Right.
You know, we're really wanting to make sure that we establish what we look like, what we sound like, what our message is, what we stand for, who we are as musicians and as a group before adding in other people. So that way people know exactly when they're joining what to expect and what we expect from them.
Right. And not to push the project into a different realm than it needs to be. And that's been a struggle that all of us have had in projects before.
Yeah.
That the mission statement is lost when too many moving parts come into play. My last one, what I wanted out of my last project was we wrote stuff like Sabbath, and when we brought on the new vocalist, he wanted to bring in piano, and it ended up being like a Billy Joel project by the end of it, and I just lost every amount of attention.
He turned every 3-4 minute song into a 10-minute jam session.
Yeah, that's where I lost interest. So I was trying to balance them between the project I was doing with Gavin and then them. And ultimately, it just came to you guys have no idea what you're doing, and it shows. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but there is just no direction when it comes to songwriting. And when I would bring something that is structured and complete, and instead of embellishing on it and creating something that is beautiful, we jam it out and make it into a 7-minute song. And I'm not here to waste time. Ultimately is what what I'm trying to say is that when we have a 7-minute song of something that could have just been a 3-minute pop song with heavy guitar, we've just wasted people's time to stroke our own egos for saying that, oh my goodness, okay, we can play a 7-minute song and have 3 guitar solos. Great. What are we trying to say?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So now talking about not wasting time and trying to move forward. I mean, so when exactly did I know you guys have been in other projects before. Did any of these projects cross paths before you saw the audition notice? Or did you guys?
I never knew about him. I was in Disney World when I heard about him.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't know each other at all
until I was literally sitting in Disney World drunk at Epcot, and he texted me.
Yeah, which is funny because I was drunk at Epcot 3 days later,
or a week after.
Yeah, a week later. Yeah, we had no prior connection to this, actually. It was a very clean set, which is crazy because we know all the same people.
Yep.
We know all the
that's why I was trying to figure out exactly, how you guys met. Because I mean, if you have kind of that big of a circle of other bands that you've been in, you figure at some point you would have at least kind of, at some point going, hey, what's up, man? I'm Cody, I'm Gavin, so I mean, but nothing.
Did you post it in like the Ohio musician page or something?
Idea where I posted.
It was either that or I have a habit of if I see someone with an instrument in the profile picture, I'll just send them a friend request. And so I could have accidentally became friends with you that way, and then I saw your post.
That probably is what happened because I don't know any of the bands that you played with personally. I'd never heard of Ghost Static or Dying Desolation before I met you.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I mean, like we hung around the same circles. I just never popped up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then exact how long ago was this? I mean, how long have you guys been, working on this?
A year now.
No, less than that.
Less than that?
Definitely. Not even a full year. No, because I got the subscription to the DK MBA, and that's what I was using to learn how to do marketing for the music. And that subscription isn't up yet.
It's only been a year.
It's been almost a year.
It's almost a year.
It's almost a year.
I would have lost a bet.
Yeah.
So he knows.
Yeah, but a little bit less than a year.
Okay, so the two singles that are out right now, were those the part of the 12 tracks that he sent you, and they just evolved into what
one of them was.
One of them was. I sent him I sent him so many song ideas. Like it'll just be like a random Wednesday, like, hey, listen to this, and it's like 3 songs.
Yeah, and the way we go about it is, so he'll send me like a batch of tracks, and I'll just be very blunt and calculated. I'll just say yes, no, because I don't want to even like I do like something, but I'm not getting that flow from it. I don't want to waste time with it.
Right. Sure.
And same thing when I'm writing lyrics. I'll write lyrics, and if I don't feel it immediately, or I don't feel it the next day, douche.
Gosh darn it! It keeps going off when I put them on.
I'll just scrap lyrics, or like Cody has no problem. Like the last song that we did, "Kiss Me, Kill Me," get ready to release that. I rewrote that chorus fucking 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, 4 times. 4 times in the studio.
Yeah, and Cody had no issue telling me like, "Hey, you can do better than this. This isn't working for me." And I just take it. I don't take it personally. I take it at very face value of, okay, let me try something else. Because one of the things that I took away from getting fired from those bands is I'm not afraid to fail anymore. I was so afraid of putting my all or putting a whole bunch of work into something and then they not like it, and then me thinking, oh, I wasted all that time. That was just practice for something better.
Sure.
And that's how I see it now. I know I write, and I write a lot of bad stuff. I purposefully write a lot of bad stuff because then we end up in the studio and we get choruses like the one in Kiss Me, Kill Me that just came out of nowhere. Like I literally wrote the actual chorus in probably 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh, not even.
Yeah, and everybody heard it even I heard it for the first time, because they were writing the instrumental. They rewrote the instrumental for it, and I start hearing the melody, and then I start putting together the words, and I get it in my head, and then as I'm singing it, I'm changing the melody while I'm singing it for the first time. So I'm still hearing it for the first time, even though I'm the one who wrote it.
What was really funny about it is the first time you did it, it was the best time you did it. And then after that, we did a couple takes of it. So he's quite literally in the microphone, and our producer for this song, Scooter Allen, just, he sets him in, and then Gavin has this melody, and all 3 of us, me, the producer, and then the songwriter we were working with, we all sit there, we're like, damn! What the hell was that? And he sits there, he's like, I don't know. And we're like, do it again. And he can't.
So, I forgot it. As soon as I did it, I forgot, and they had to play it back to me so I could learn it.
So he's learning it while he's in front of the mic, redoing it. And then I think it was like the 6th or 7th take, he finally did it the way that we wanted to.
Yeah.
But he's quite literally learning the intervals as we're doing it. We're like, that's the magic of like making songs in the studio. Those are the stories that you hear about that you cannot replicate. Oh my God, the lights are back. Oh my God. So those are the magical moments that you cannot make up because it's just so in the moment, and working with other artists in the studio is you hear about stories, and when you experience it firsthand, you do realize how magical being an artist really is in situations like that.
It's catching lightning in a bottle, and that's why we do it the way that we do it. They'll send me a handful of tracks. I'll say yes, I like these ones. No, I don't like these ones. I don't even say I don't like these. I'll just say yes, I really like these ones, and they go, great. Which one are you feeling the best? And I'll say this one. I said, let's focus on that one, and that's what Lipstick and Gasoline was. It was the one that we decided to focus on the most. That's the one that I was resonating with the best. We are revising one of the songs from that original batch that is going to be the fourth song. We went ahead, we pulled it back. I rewrote almost all the lyrics. I kept like the first verse and then changed the entire meaning of the song. Cody's done a whole lot with the guitar and everything, and that's going to be that is going to be our slowest song and most gentle song they've had so far. But
now is slowest and gentlest, is that with air quotes? I mean, so
no. Think of like Creep from Radiohead.
Okay.
Yeah, like a that kind of vibe. Like there's a crescendo in it, and it has almost like a sad ballad kind of feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's and I will say this for the people that are listening that are like actual like musicians. A lot of it is based around having added nines in it. So it's very, if you listen to Pantera, if you listen to the outro of Floods, that is a very that's a very accurate way of describing how it sounds, because it's that movement. So you're adding this dissonant sound to it without it necessarily being sad or melancholy. And it's a very creative and poetic way of creating a verse, which then ends up being, well, as Gavin said, it does crescendo into this bigger chorus that still roots around having an added nine in the chorus, which is a weird tension sound. And then it goes back into just being like a fifth chord, we'll say. So it's just the root, the octave. The root, the fifth, and then the octave. And it's a very interesting approach to writing songs that I haven't done before, which I'm very excited to have in this fourth song. And the producer that I want to work with on it, I feel is going to really bring this arrangement to life.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got really nerdy for a second.
I know. I not to giggle, but I looked down to grab my water bottle because I'm thirsty, and I remember that it's full of piss right now. I was on the highway and it flooded. The highway flooded and I was stuck in traffic and I couldn't hold it.
We've had one hell of a day, haven't we?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, you sounded very intellectual.
I won't. Sometimes I get really nerdy when it comes to music theory, which is very. It's. How do I describe this? There is a duality when it comes to me. There is the side that is an absolute lunatic, like I said before, squeeze, and then there is the side of me that likes to be kind of, analytical in a sense. And I feel like it's the balance, and my fiance to be absolutely hates it, and she's like, "How the hell do you function?" I'm like, "Yes." That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they have yin and yang for a reason. So I mean,
Yeah.
So I mean, it is what it is. But it's got to be nice to be at the point where you do, because like you said, you're focusing right now on building a foundation. It's got to be nice to be at a point right now where you are building something that is your own between the two of you, and you can actually, you probably may or may not for the first time in a project be with someone who, like, if you say when he sends you the music, you can be like, I like this, I don't like that, and not have to have any sort of, even if it's in the back of your mind, some sort of fear of some sort of backlash or like some sort of, I mean, constructive criticism. I mean, we've talked about it with multiple bands before. I mean, when you're trying to put an album together, or even if you're just writing a song at a time or deciding what glasses or what hat to wear to go to a concert, you're a little bit of constructive criticism. I mean, if you're starting to take, if you start to take things personal, you're probably in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you can get together and be like, well, we're trying to reach a common goal. So I mean, if I say something that I want to change, or because you're talking about, you changed a chorus like in the studio mid-record and everyone loved it. But I mean, you probably never felt like you had the power to do that before. Now you do in this kind of project, and he's not going to be pissed off about it. So, having it probably gives you peace of mind to have that freedom at this point.
Absolutely. I think between the two of us, the amount of life experience as far as failure, psychedelics, bad relationships, like just the combination of all those things, ego deaths, it's put us in a very unique position where, like I said, we're not afraid to fail, we're not afraid to be wrong, because we don't usually, like human emotion is inevitable, but usually we don't take it as a personal attack. We take it as a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like the third time he told me to rewrite the chorus, I was frustrated because I was really trying, but then I found that I was trying too hard. Mm-hmm. And I needed to relax and take a step back and just kind of let things flow. And that became extremely easy when we decided to rewrite the chorus entirely. Not just the vocals, but the instrumental as well. So now we're in the studio rewriting everything from scratch. And I didn't have those previous choruses and those previous hooks and lyrics that I was still trying to hold on to subconsciously. I was able to just kind of free flow in this new river, and the chorus just came out of me. And I find that that's when I write some of my best stuff, is when I'm not particularly trying to write anything specific. I'm just I'm starting it, and then I'm seeing where it goes.
Sure, in organic flow. Sure, I understand that.
I guess my next question before we get too far into anything else is where did the name for the band come from? So.
That'd be me. Stay out of my ears.
Never.
Fucking hate when people touch my ears.
Fucking like touch.
That's a great. There's not many ways to piss me off. That's a great way to piss me off. So fucking my ears. I don't know why.
God, you get so hot when you're mad.
The band's name, Kissing Lilith. I picked the name, and I'm really anal about band names. I do believe shitty name, shitty band. I wanted to pick something and choose something that obviously has meaning, but also something that was sexy and dangerous and unique and catchy, that like would stick in people's heads or make them kind of go, oh, okay. And then most importantly, actually, I wanted to think of something and pick something that I could easily imagine on posters and billboards and set lists with other bands that I enjoy and that I wanted to be associated with. Like, I can very easily hear in my head, oh, coming this summer, we have Papa Roach, In This Moment, Kissing Lilith, and Falling in Reverse, playing live. Like, I can hear that so fucking easy in my mind. And when I explain it to people, I can see it click in their head too. Like, you know what? Yeah, that does sound like something that I would go to.
Yeah, I can visualize that.
I mean, when he told me the name, I was just like, man, that's kind of an interesting name. And
that's a kick-ass name.
Yeah. And once I see it, I'm just like, it's interesting because I don't think you can see some band names, like, of course, not knowing. If you didn't know who Megadeth was, you seen Megadeth, he's like, oh, that's fucking metal.
Cool, so right?
So you would know.
I'm so glad you said Megadeth anyway.
So when you see, one of the news stories come across, and that's just the first thing that come to my mind, because Megadeth, Dave Mustaine thought Code Orange was going to be the next big thing, and then, of course, they're on hiatus.
Now they're on hiatus, yeah.
So there you go. So anyway, so when I see the name, I'm just like, okay, that could be a lot of different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's good, because from the sound of those two singles that are out, I think they do have a different sound to them.
Yeah. That's what we're really trying to do with this third single, and with the fourth as well, is we're taking advantage of the fact that we are very flexible and we are so new that we don't have a definite sound yet. So we want to make sure that we explore and experiment as much as we can within reason while still sounding like us. And of my favorite bands, one of the things that is consistent through all of them, no matter the genre, is no matter what the song sounds like, it's them as soon as it starts.
Right. Yeah. That's another, and we talked about that when Avenged Sevenfold's new album came out, because I've been listening to Avenged Sevenfold like literally since their beginning. I've followed their career all the way up to now. And, they just, in our opinion, Jason and I have discussed this and we're kind of both on the same page. It's our opinion that they went a little bit too far away from what we know as them in our opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's another balance that you have to find.
When we say that though, I think it's because they did it with every track.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Not just like, oh well, I'm going to experiment with 5 of these, and they kind of go
right.
They went 4. They just went all out and said, "Hey, we're just."
Well, they lost they lost a huge songwriter when the Rev died. They lost a huge
that is true.
Huge creative element towards it. Jimmy was such an influential part of that band, and he brought such an interesting songwriting element to it. Whereas, like, Sinister is a very, very technical musician. Whereas Jimmy was more like, try something stupid. And then it worked. Most of the stuff that you hear on the 4th album is Jimmy, because he's just this wonder wall of a creative force that's just like, hey, Brian, stop being good at shit and just like try this weird fucking thing. And then he came in with Afterlife. That's not Sinister. That's the Rev.
Right, yeah.
And like most of that album is the Rev. And I think that's where a lot of people like they lose it, because I think where Sevenfold is where Sinister kind of pushed it, because that is the other creative force.
I think
but
so.
Jimmy to me will always be what Avenged Sevenfold started as, and then became monumental for. That's my perspective, of course.
No, I mean,
back when before they, probably anybody ever heard of them. A friend of mine knew some people that were friends with the band because he was from the same area, and he come back from vacation or something. He said, "Hey, you got to check these guys out. They're going to be big." And he played like a demo of theirs, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is like." I mean, it was borderline death metal at that point.
Yeah.
So when I first heard the first album, I'm just like, this is not what that sounded like. So it was. So even at the beginning, I mean, I'm sure they had to change it a little bit to get some kind of airplay out of something.
Sure.
So I mean, at that point, you can still kind of depend on that. Nowadays, it's probably just pretty much invisible. But but that's the thing though, is when I heard the tracks, especially Lipstick and Gasoline, I was like, hey, I could easily, feel like that could be on a radio station somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it will be at some point. It'll be on ours, but
I think they both could, because I don't.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm just saying. Like,
they absolutely both could.
Because I heard that's the first one I listened to. But
right, because when you guys reached out to us on TikTok, and by the way, I probably should have even opened with this, but we were talking about lap dancing. But I do want to thank you for reaching out to us on TikTok. We greatly appreciate that. So, but the introductory little message that you sent us said that you guys had the sound, of a little bit of Chevelle, a little bit of Disturbed. Hell, I've been listening to the tracks, all week at different intervals. And for me, especially with the very, very beginning of More Than Worth It, you guys sounded, I got a vibe of, from a band that I think is criminally underrated in Dope.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. One of the things that we really wanted to capture with our sound, because Cody's really big into classic rock, jazz, rock and roll, metal, stuff like that. And then I'm really, really big into new metal, alt metal, and also like rap and R&B. And we wanted to mix those together in a way that when people listen to it, it's nostalgic, it's familiar, but you don't know exactly what it is.
Sure.
And so I'm glad to hear that we've been kind of capturing that from the different people that have told us what they think of who we sound like.
Yeah. Now,
and you guys kind of incorporated it really well too. So there's a lot of bands that try to do this, and I think that, when you get bands like From Ashes to New, and, like you said, Dope, and, Dead, or DED, however y'all want to pronounce that. I know people say it both ways, but I call them Dead because it's DED. but but a lot of those bands incorporate a little bit of hip hop or rap or something within the lyrics, but it's with a like a metal guitar or background. But like I don't know, some people can pull that off, and some people can't as well. Like I said, like there's not, I hear bands that do it, and I'm just like, yeah, it's all right, but
well, hell,
when you tend to sound like another band that's already doing it, though, it's kind of like it's kind of yeah, but this guy's already doing that. So, but you guys seem to incorporate it a little bit differently. And when I was listening to it, I was like, this is really different. I like it. And another band, a newer band that actually kind of come to mind listening to you guys too was Tetrarch. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with those guys, but that's kind of some of the guitars work and stuff, and they're kind of reminding me of those guys too. So yeah, there's a lot of different. Like I said, I think we could listen to your guys' stuff and probably pick out 10 bands in one song.
Yeah,
you probably like, oh, this is like this. So it's kind of like you guys are kind of incorporating a lot of different stuff to make it your own. So, and I like that. I mean, that's probably what's going to get you guys,
right
to where you want to be. So.
Right, but at the same time, I think, to echo what Jason just said, I think it gives you guys a great roadmap to where the journey doesn't have to be in any sort of straight line. I mean, you guys can go off in any direction you want with the background that the two of you have. I mean, when you start incorporating, I mean, at some point, because you're about to start, looking at forming, an actual band, with the background and the foundation that you guys are already establishing, with the mix that you already have. I mean, the road seems to be wide open. You're going to start incorporating other personalities. God only knows what the hell they're going to bring to the table, what dynamic they're going to add to the sound that you've already established. So, I mean, you're not, and we're seeing more and more bands do this, and it's a good thing, because we've talked about this too on many occasions. The attention span is so fucking narrow. So, to be able to, like you said, it's going to sound like Kissing Lilith, but it's not going to be the same thing from song to song. I'll be 100% honest. I haven't listened to any of the teaser clips for the new single yet, because I don't like to do that.
And that's okay. The only teaser clips that I've liked, so I haven't posted the chorus at all, and I've wanted to so bad. So I've just used the first verse.
Right.
I've used part of the first verse, and that's all that I've just been. Anytime that I posted it, it's just been that. So it's still very like, ooh, what is this going to sound like?
Right. And I've avoided that on purpose, because for one, I know it's coming up on Sunday, and for two, I do this. I did the same thing with the teaser for the new single that I do with trailers for movies. I stopped watching trailers for movies so long ago, because I'm tired of them ruining the fucking movie. Good. So I wanted to do the same thing with the single. So I saw the promos for the new single on the social media platforms. I was like, all right, I'm going to move past that, because I want to wait for the whole thing. But so I've only kept to the two singles so far. So that's all I have at this point. So I'm super duper looking forward to what's next, and knowing that there's actually another one following close behind it. Is that going to be like the output for you guys, just singles at this point? Because like you say, you haven't put a band together yet. So I'm assuming, I mean, obviously you can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming we haven't played the songs live yet.
No. I mean, we've like rehearsed them together. We had one guy try out as a drummer, and so we played the songs with him a couple times during his audition. But other than that, no, we haven't played them live yet. As far as releasing goes, the plan is to just stick with singles for the time being. Once we have so many out, once we have maybe 6 or 7 out, then we might release a quote unquote album where there will be part of the album, and we'll release maybe 3 or 4 more songs at once, and that will be the full album. Okay. But no matter what we end up doing, whether it's just me and Cody or it's a full band, that's essentially going to be the game plan, where let's say we have a 6-song EP that we release. It's going to be 4 songs as singles, and then the other 2 come out last. Or we have a 12-song album, it's going to be 7 or 8 songs as singles, and then the rest come out in a batch. Just because, like you mentioned earlier, people don't have the attention spans like they used to.
Right.
No one is buying full albums anymore. Nobody's streaming full albums anymore unless it's like Eminem or something like who can just drop an album tonight and it'll have 2 million streams by midnight, 2 minutes from now.
Yeah.
So doing singles, and also too with doing singles, it allows us to budget a lot easier. It allows us to target and market a lot easier. For the specific singles, we can make merchandise for those individual singles. We can make promos for those individual singles. We can get our streams up, and it helps keep us consistent. It really helps keep us putting out new material, not just music-wise, but content-wise, and engaging with people. Overall, it's much more sustainable for the long run, especially for building a community and a following on social media.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'll just ask the new singles coming out Sunday. Why Sunday? I have a theory, but I want to do so. Why Sunday?
Just honestly, looking at the data, and you can look and view your analytics, and we can view ours, and we can view public analytics on what a solid release date would be. We find that we will get probably the largest amount of engagement for this as we have done a 2 to 3 week pre-release.
Okay.
So that is where we're coming from as far as the Sunday. That and just kind of it seems that from what we've done in the past, we've done releases on Fridays, we've done releases on Wednesdays and Mondays, and from our own experience, we find that we will get more engagement on an idle weekend day as opposed to like an active day like a Friday or a Saturday.
Okay.
So so there's enough data for us to look back, and we both agreed while we were sitting up at the recording studio, we're like, okay, this will probably make the most sense for us, and then seeing where it's going to fall, because we almost thought about releasing it a couple weeks earlier, and we thought about releasing it later, and seeing like holidays that could potentially get in the way, other external forces that could potentially decrease engagement, and ultimately just it seems unanimous that this was going to be the best time to release it.
Okay. I think it's a lot harder nowadays too, because you have that ability to where people can just pick a phone up or a laptop or whatever, just turn that on at any moment. So it's kind of hard to pin down what day is better for anything, because
the only thing that has helped us is actual experience. So we can track all of our analytics and say, okay, objectively, this is probably the best day for us to post based off of previous data. So it's impossible to say whether or not this release is going to yield the results that we want off of previous data, but the data seems like it is going to be the most in our favor. Wow, that's really bad grammar, but you know what I mean.
Well, it's all just educated guesses too, because every time that we release a single, the variables change on how many people follow us, the quality of the single, how much money we're able to put in advertising for. All these things change and usually increase. So as we continue to develop and we continue to look at analytics and experiment with things, it's going to be different every time. We might find 2 years from now, when we release a single, the best day for us is Tuesday for whatever reason.
Right.
But right now, that might not be the best, just because of the following that we have and the amount of money that we put into it. It's drastically different than from 2 years from now. Hopefully, it'd be drastically different. So it's really just kind of take an educate. It's like the stock market. We don't have insider information, so we really got to trust our gut and just do the best off of what we know, and what we know is those analytics and what we've done in the past.
Yeah, it's always a fluid situation, I'm sure.
That makes sense for certain bands to put something out on a Tuesday or Wednesday or something, though, because they're probably following their analytics. So
when the data is presented to you and you can follow the actual chart, it allows you to make a much more intuitive, educated guess. And in our situation, since we will run a campaign that is more than a day in general. Like if you push it over the course of a couple of days, it's like, okay, well then now I have more data to track for next time. In this situation, in the infancy of this project, I would say that we're almost in the same situation where if we would just like randomly throw it, we might even have the same results. It's hard to say, and I don't really necessarily think we worry about it too much because I am more concerned with putting out a good product as opposed to worrying about arbitrary data. But from and to quote what I said earlier, from everything that we have gathered so far, it would be in our best interest to follow that trend of what we've analyzed.
According to the trajectory of the moon and the sun, we've determined that someday it's the shit.
Llamas with hats reference.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, you know what?
The moon and the sun, awesome. We're at the bottom of the ocean.
Actually, you know what? It's fucking hilarious that you just brought up llamas with hats because Jason, you probably have no idea what this is, and I'm going to tell you right now. My daughter is actually at work right now. She actually just sent me a text. She just sent a message in the chat. My daughter, she's 23. She has had me watch every single episode of Llamas with Hats and Charlie the Unicorn. So the fact that you just brought up Llamas with Hats, and my daughter just sent me a message a little bit ago that's saying that she's watching from work. That's fucking freaky.
Yeah.
because here's the thing. As soon as you said based on the trajectory of the sun and the moon, it went right in my head, even though I didn't know you were making the reference I thought you were making until you said it. And the fact that my daughter is listening to it, she's probably laughing her ass off right now.
That's awesome. That makes sense because I'm 25, so.
So that is outstanding. I don't even think I could have planned that any better for that to happen the way it did with the timing that it just did.
Jason Steele is just, he's a genius. It's, whether you actually believe that or not, but like when you listen to the content, you're like, wow, okay, he's pretty clever. Like whether he just won it or if he sat down and actually like wrote it down, the content's, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
I would say that a good chunk of like my early adulthood, a lot of our personalities are kind of based off of his stuff, especially Marshmallow People. Like I still quote that to the day. My car is the otter, and it always will be. So it's just it's kind of embedded in our millennial culture at this point. Like if you don't quote something of his, I probably question what you did as a kid. So
yeah. I mean, my daughter and I were constantly making those references to either Llamas with Hats or, Charlie the Unicorn, something like that, talking about the magical Leopleurodon and Grand Slamwich and all this shit. So, I mean, we're forever doing that shit to each other. So it's hilarious that actually came up. I wouldn't have had that on my bingo card if you would have paid me. There's no way in hell I would have even thought we would be talking about that tonight. And Jason's still trying to figure out what the fuck we're even talking about, probably.
No, I never heard of either one of those.
Yeah, so
it's a joke that went too far that came full circle in the end.
Yeah, it really did.
All you need to know is there's nothing like two friends munching on some nicely roasted faces.
I'm in the wrong here. I suck.
I think the last hip cartoon I got into was Rick and Morty. That's because of my kids, but so I
had a hard time getting into Rick and Morty. I don't know why.
I don't have that influence around anymore, so I'm kind of out of the loop with anything new. So.
The amount of times I say Mrs. Swifty is probably disgusting at this point.
Yeah.
I probably need to go back and actually restart it because it wasn't too long ago. It was, God damn it. My daughter just put something in the quote, said, "Do you hear that? That's the sound of forgiveness."
Do you have that? That's the sound of forgiveness. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Who's Kayla? That's funny.
That's my daughter.
Oh my goodness.
Hello, Kayla.
Hello, Kayla.
Thanks for watching.
That's the sound of forgiveness. That's the sound of forgiveness.
Oh my God!
Carl.
Yep.
So forgiveness sounds like
That's what forgiveness
silence.
Screaming and then silence. That's right.
Screaming and then silence. So fun.
I probably have to restart Rick and Morty and give it another chance. But the one thing that I took away from that show is you son of a bitch. I'm in. I do that shit all the time.
yeah.
I do that. I do that one all the time.
The amount of times that I quote that with Gavin will come up with an idea, and I don't explicitly say "son of a bitch, I'm in," but the mannerisms in which it might as well be the same thing. He'll come up with an idea and just be like, "Cut, go, full send."
Yep, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
You son of a bitch, I'm
in. Okay, so God, I'll be honest, I was so caught off guard by that whole thing. I completely fucking forgot where I was going to go with my line of questioning.
We have a tendency of doing that.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is we do that. We do that to ourselves every week.
I mean, let's say if it's any consolation, we had a chance to talk to Christopher Williams from Accept, and we spent the first 10 minutes talking to him about cartoons.
Yeah, about South Park and about South Park and Ren and Stimpy and all sorts of that shit. So yeah, it's not the first time that we've gone completely off the rails.
I was sitting there like we were like he started the conversation and we were sitting there talking, and I looked down there 10 minutes of it. I said I did not expect us to talk about cartoons the first 10 minutes of this interview.
Yeah, so it was
hilarious.
What else do you talk about in your adult life?
Well, the funny thing is he made a reference that if you would only know if you watch South Park.
Exactly.
He said something about something and then said you're going to have a bad time.
If you pizza away or if you French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're gonna have a bad time.
There it is. See, that's the thing.
We were talking about that with Paul. So Paul is one of the guitar players in the band Seldom Fade, and we just shit post on Facebook all the time, and he'll post something that's like gonna have a bad time, and just the entire thread's just like shoot a pizza when you French fried, bud.
Yep.
Just right. So yeah, that's pretty much a daily conversation for us.
If you mix up your lubricant with Tabasco, you're gonna have a bad time.
We're at this podcasting expo a couple weeks ago, and we're talking to the drummer of one of the bands that we've been listening to for 40 years. I mean, Accept's been around
ever since we've learned about metal. Probably.
Yes, I mean, so you got Udo Dirkschneider, you got Wolf Hoffman, Martin Motnick is become a friend of the show. He's the bass player, and so we finally have a chance to talk to another member of this band. And he sits down. We have a 15-minute window to talk to this guy at this expo because every interview we had a 15-minute window.
Yeah. I call it the podcast speed dating. That's what
it basically was. Yeah, basically was. So he sits down and makes this innocuous reference. I got the reference. He said I was the only person that he's talked to in the last God knows however to actually get the reference, and that sends us off on a 10-minute tangent of his 15-minute window where we're talking about fucking cartoons.
Yeah, it was great.
It was phenomenal the way it went down. But
that's the thing is like you wind up like when we do these things, we wind up finding common ground on a conversation outside of music sometimes. So which is good. I mean, it's it's not this is all for you guys to kind of we put this out to kind of help us help you. You know what I mean? So
right,
we're kind of helping each other. So get you guys even if we, like I say, this 100 times, if I get you 10 people or 100 people, I got you.
If you give us 10 people or 100 people, I pity them because they have to deal with me.
I just feel like it's 10 new people that know about you guys that may tell 10 other people. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Those 10 people that's how it has to work nowadays because you have so much talent out there that. And the radio kills me with, I'm going to play this song from 1974, even though
I love AC/DC.
This new band's out with this kick-ass song. We're going to play this. Like, come on, man, really?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we've already done the biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish, which was influence someone's life in a positive manner. We had a guy reach out to us when we released Lipstick and Gasoline, our first song. A guy reached out in the comments, was chatting with us, telling me about a bad breakup that he had and how his life was just down in the shitter. He was getting ready to lose his apartments. He was going to be losing his job, or he was worried about it because he wasn't showing up to work on time, and he was fucking things up, and his life was a mess. And he said, he heard the song, and like you guys have heard the song. It's not like a sad song. It's an angry song.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a crazy song. But he said that it inspired him because it made him feel like he wasn't alone. And he ended up reaching out to me in DMs, and we're talking and everything. And I just gave him basically. Honestly, I don't remember what exactly I said to him because it's just what it was on top of my head at that time. But it was basically, just stay focused. Try to prioritize what you need to get done first, and whatever you don't get done, just try to get it done tomorrow and reprioritize. And he ended up messaging me probably about a month ago, and he said, "Hey man, I don't know if you remember me, but we talked in the comments." I said, "Yeah, no, I do remember you. How you been? I remember you had that breakup. What's going on?" And he told me, and I started to choke up reading what he had to say because he told me, he said, "Hey, I want to let you know that I stopped drinking, and I stopped drinking. I started going to work on time, started busting my ass and saving money. I always make sure I pay myself first. And because of that, I not only am I keeping my job, but I'm hoping to get a promotion soon, and I'm renewing my lease next month."
Oh, see, that's awesome. That's
he said, "I completely changed my life around because of what you told me and because you listened." And as far as I'm concerned, I feel like every artist says, "Oh, if I could just change someone's life, if I could just affect one person, that's all I need to do." And that's what we did, and we did it right off the bat. And so everything else that we're doing, I don't feel pressure from it, and that makes it a lot easier because it's kind of just cherries on top, and it's just been an amazing adventure. And I've had a couple other people reach out with other stories that are different, but they're just as impactful. And so the fact that we only have 2 songs out, and we're already touching, connecting, and inspiring people to such a drastic measure in their own lives, I really couldn't ask for more out of my art.
And then they're probably telling other people about how you've done that. So
exactly.
Other people are referring back to you guys and listening to your music and probably, liking it. And like I'm following you guys on Spotify. So when the new song drops, I'll get notified. But like I said, we've said this 100 times. We're not huge fans of Spotify, but unfortunately, that's
that's the standard.
The standard that we have to go by. I mean, unfortunately, but hopefully someday there, maybe another.
They're trying, but it's hard to fight a juggernaut.
It is, yeah. It is. Yeah. So I know like one of the artists, like in a band, was starting something. Remember, we were just talking about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
I have to go back and look into that. I can't remember when it was launching. I think it was launching here pretty soon, though.
Is that Haley behind us? Yeah, someone's behind us flashing lights and shit. Sorry to interrupt. Just got
long as they're not blue lights.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not a cop, so.
Yeah, there you go.
We're parked outside of my house.
Yeah, but it's late.
Oh, whatever.
People are nosy.
Yeah, but I can talk to people. It's my house. Hello, sir. It's me, the person that owns and takes the movie.
Yeah, but I'm dressed with torn up clothing and a lot of eyeliner. I have a bottle of piss in my car,
Strange things have happened in this neighborhood, which is surprising. But not the point.
That's my weapon, man. I'm driving through a bad neighborhood. Don't piss at you.
Excuse me.
It's insane.
No.
Someone came to the car. Give me your money. You throw a bottle of piss.
In this neighborhood, probably not. It's probably my neighbor that doesn't know how to turn his hazards off, which is not the most unusual thing there.
Yeah, I was about to say you do have hazard lights on behind you. So
he probably didn't even know he cut them on.
Probably.
What is that flashing?
Exactly.
It's like, then you go over there and tell them, say, believe it or not, one of those will turn on when you hit this little side switch too.
It's true.
You're turning.
Turn signal, yeah, exactly. Yeah, turn signal, yeah.
It seems like nobody knows what that's for anymore.
Okay, all right. So I want to go back to something that you talked about earlier on in the show, because you mentioned it twice, and I hope it's not like rubbing salt in a wound or anything, but you talking about the inspiration for Lipstick and Gasoline was this woman in this relationship. Now, one of
the bottle of piss.
Now
that too.
Now,
yeah, that's what made us think of it. The bottom.
Yeah. Now one of the details that you talked about,
Yeah.
I would like to know the impetus behind this if you're willing to. You can.
Yeah.
But you said that this girl got you kicked out of your out of your childhood home.
Yeah.
How the hell did she manage that?
So what had happened was, my mother owned the house,
Okay.
and we were renting from her.
Okay.
And I had tried to find my ex Carla. I tried to find her a place to live and help her out multiple times because I did feel bad that we were breaking up, but I was also I was fed up. I just needed to get out of the situation. But I also still felt awful because it's someone that I loved and cared about for a long time, and so I didn't just want to kick her out.
All right.
So I'm
Okay.
trying to find a place for her and everything. And eventually, what had happened was we started to get in fights, which got more and more intense each time. I came home once, and there was a suicide note, and her gun was gone.
Oh,
And
Jesus. Okay.
she said that she was in the metro parks. And so it was all just to get my attention and make me care and make me comforts and everything. Try to comfort her. But I ended up calling the police, and they took the firearm away from her, and they told me that I would have to come retrieve it from the police station later. And I said, okay, that's fine. And so I did, and they told me not to give it back to her unless I felt that she was, sound of mind to own it and to have possession of it. So I put it away in the safe, and things continued to escalate over time. Very short time, couple of days, a week. And every time that we would get a place set up for us, something would fall through. And it got to the point where we got in another fight where I was locked in the bathroom and she's trying to break down the door because I don't want to be anywhere near her because the way that she's screaming and yelling at me, I know that if the neighbors call the cops and say there's something domestic going on, that I'm getting arrested.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. It doesn't matter if she is, especially if she had marks on her, if she had anything on her, whether it was a bruise from, whatever, anything.
Mhm.
It could have been she swung a door open. That was a bad example. It could have been she bumped into the counter or something like that. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
If there's any mark on her, even if there's not a mark on her, if there's a domestic thing, I know as the man, I'm going away.
Yeah. More often than not. Yes.
Yes.
You
So
did the right thing.
I was in the bathroom, and I ended up texting the police. I didn't call them because I didn't want her to know. I wanted them to show up and see the situation for themselves because I knew that she would put on an act. Because the first time I called the police about her in the Metro Parks, once they had me come pick her up, and after they left, she laughed in my face and said, "Don't ever call the cops on me again. I know exactly what to say to not have to go away."
See, I hate to hear that you went through that. I really do. And like I said, I appreciate you answering the question. You didn't have to. Like I said, I didn't want to bring up a source.
No. It's like, I like to be open about these things. Especially since I write songs about them, I should be able to talk about them.
Right.
That's
why I keep a little thing of cocaine on me. So whenever I'll slip it in her pocket, be like, "Well, the bitch is on crack, dude." Like we.
Well, and then also, so when I texted the police to have them come over and see what was going on, they came over and she went outside, and then I went outside and explained our sides of the situation, and she told them that she was trying to leave and that she just wanted her things, which included the firearm. And I explained to them the previous situation, and they told me that it was her property and I was not allowed to keep it from her, and if she was trying to leave, then I had to give it to her. To which I responded, okay, well then I will give it to you, officer, and you can hand it to her. So that way, if something happens, that is on you, not me. I refuse to give her back this firearm. And I could tell that he did not want to be a part of this, but legally he had to. And so that's what we did. I gave him the firearm, and he gave it to her, and she put it in her car. and then we got in one more fight. I can't remember if it was the next day or shortly after that.
Yeah.
We got in one more fight where she started hitting me, and that's when I left. I just walked out the door. I grabbed I had my keys on me. I walked out the door. I got my car, and I just fucking left. I took off, and my mother sold the house after that. And once she announced that she was selling it, everybody moved out. Because I had roommates too at the time. I had two other roommates, and so everybody just packed their shit up and just started getting out of the house. And once Carly was out, that's when I went back and I unlocked my room because I had it locked up, and I just had it locked up all the time. I was just lucky that it was locked when I left. But that's when I went back to my room. I started packing things up. I started breaking down the house and officially getting out of there.
Okay, so
any of your roommates ever witnessed any of that, or?
Yes and no. They heard things, but they didn't see it. They stayed in their rooms when it happened. I feel awful that I put them in that position because it really was the position of children when mom and dad are fighting. They had no they had no business in being in it. They had no desire to be a part of it, but because they lived there, they were forced to be in the situation just by proximity. And I've apologized a million times to all of them about it. And I talked to some of them. I'm not on bad terms with any of them, except for the one who stole my vacuum cleaner. She destroyed the carpet with her filthy pet animals. She had guinea pigs that she let roam all over the goddamn place, and then she stole my fucking vacuum cleaner. So I'm not too fond of her, but other than that, she's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was you were being proactive in getting away from this person. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I feel like I was kicked out in the sense of I knew that she would never leave unless the house was gone.
Yeah.
And the house would never be gone unless I left.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Makes
sense.
And also, a stolen vacuum sucks. But.
It does, yeah. Very inconvenient.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, all right. So now we've talked at length about lipstick and gasoline, and I'm sure based on what we learned from your experiences with the other bands earlier on in the show, I may or may not know the impetus behind the lyrics for More Than Worth It, but give us the background of More Than Worth It.
Yeah, I mean, More Than Worth It is a very in your face, very straight to the point song. You mean to run on the window and get hot? Tell you a story. Yeah, Wing. His woman got us food. Sounds good. Yeah, More Than Worth It. I mean, it's a very, punchy in the face, straightforward, to the point song where I've had a lot of people that I felt very close to and I felt were close to me and that I trusted very much just out of nowhere blatantly tell me, or very tongue-in-cheek, consistently, sleight of hand tell me that I need to give up and quit what I'm doing. And the main inspiration of that was, the lead singer Ghost Static telling me in a text that's basically just saying, hey, it's not working out anymore. I'm going to have this guy play bass instead. And just giving me no explanation to where I had to call. I called him and he didn't answer. And then I called him again and he was out on a jog. And I was like, I'll call you back. I was like, all right. And he never did. And then I called him a third time. And he finally told me, he's like, yeah, you're just too young and inexperienced to go to the next level. I don't think your finances are where they need to be if we need to invest in things, which you have no idea what my finances are. That's a really fucking weird thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, did you even think to ask, for fuck's sake? So, I mean...
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. They had some possible opportunity out of state, and he's like, what if we had to do this? I was like, I'd figure it out. I'd save money, or, I'd fucking put money on a credit card, or, I'd budget. I'd do what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be an adult about it.
Right.
And, just the ego of him, too. And also looking back in hindsight as well, I think a big part of that relationship was I was still hurt from Dying Desolation.
Sure.
And I was looking for validation. And I was also looking for validation from someone older than me, because I assumed because he was older, he just knew better.
Mm-hmm.
And so when everything went down the way that it did, not only did it really taint the way that I saw him, but it allowed me to look back at some of his decisions and the things that I saw him do, and realize that that was not someone that I ever should have saw as a role model, or as like an older brother figure. That was someone that was dealing with their own problems and their own ego and their own self-sabotage that I just kind of let go blindly, because I wanted so badly to be a part of a band again. I wanted so badly to be part of something again, that I started to lose my own self-respect. And it all just hit me like a ton of bricks once everything was said and done, because it really was, overnight. And he said that they were going to do a band vote, but I knew that it was bullshit because he wrote all the music and everything.
Yeah.
And the drummer, we had been switching bandmates every couple months for probably a year at that point. The drummer I played one show with, I met him a couple months before. I knew that he wasn't going to say, oh yeah, let's keep him in because I'm so close with him. The new bassist clearly either didn't have a vote or definitely wasn't going to vote to keep me in. And the guitarist was a friend of his since childhood. So I knew that it was just bullshit. It was him trying to save face again. And that was probably the biggest inspiration for the song. But I have friends, I have family, I have people that I love, and that I know it comes from a place of love and concern, but they ask those questions like, so what's your plan? What are you really going to do? That's a cool hobby. These things, I know that they want to support me, but I also know they don't believe in me. And it's with things other than music too. I know that I have friends and family that don't fully believe in my relationship, because they've seen me fall in love very quickly. They've seen me hop from relationship to relationship in the past, but they haven't been there when I'm up at 3 a.m., just thinking to myself in bed, what have I been doing wrong? Mm-hmm. Not in the sense of, oh, woe is me, poor me, in the sense of, what do I look for in a partner? And do I present myself that way? And if I do I do it genuinely, or am I putting on an act? Mm-hmm. These conversations that I've had with myself, so that way I can be the person that I am, to attract the woman that I am with now, to have the relationship that I do have. So the song goes a bit deeper than just the music. It's not just me wanting to be an artist and a musician. It's me wanting to be a person and trying to figure out what that means to me. And just the frustration that I have that there are people that I know love me and that I love that do not believe in me as badly as I want them to.
Yeah.
But the song aside, I'm trying not to be mad at those people. Obviously, I'm mad at the previous singer of that band.
Sure. Yeah.
And I have no respect for him. And I don't think that I ever will, in all honesty.
Well,
but I don't have that emotional connection with him like I do certain friends or certain family members. Because at the end of the day, that was his project. That wasn't my band. Yeah. And he made it very clear to us all the time.
But at the same time, you would expect that kind of behavior out of like your bandmates from when you were teens.
Yeah.
This guy was roughly twice your age, and he wasn't even man enough to do anything face to face. He kept trying to avoid you and all that shit. So it's no wonder knowing that story now, why there was that one fiery line about if one more middle-aged motherfucker tells me, and all this other shit, so that sound bite that I used,
one more middle-aged prick tells me how to live my life.
Yeah. That soundbite that I used for the promo clip. So that's where that came from. So,
which I love that you use that sound in particular, because I've been getting crucified for that sound for the last 3 weeks now on Instagram.
Instagram does not like them.
So well, that specific part of the song, if you don't know the story and you haven't heard the rest of the song and it's completely out of context,
Right.
it does just sound like me being a teenage girl bitching and moaning on the internet.
Well, I mean, isn't that the social media way though? Take everything out of context.
Yeah, but that's what it sounds like. So, you guys see how I post. I do like the lip sync things. Just it's quick, easy content to introduce people to the music and everything.
Right.
Well, I purposefully didn't post that clip by itself because of how it sounds out of context. I finally decided to post it, and I just threw it up there. I didn't think much about it. The next day, it has like 10,000 views on it and like 40 comments, and they're all just shitting all over me.
That was
Now,
3 weeks ago.
yeah, now it's at like 32,000 views, 900 some shares, like 400 or 500 comments, and almost every one of them is negative. Everyone is just shitting all over.
Still trolling fucking people.
And it's people saying it's people calling me middle-aged, but then it's also people saying that I need to grow up. It's people saying that, oh my god, like
we're super extra gay.
We're boyfriends. System of a Down syndrome was probably my favorite still.
Oh, I did see that. Matter of fact, I did see that. Oh my god! When he said that System of a Down syndrome, I remember reading that.
Yeah, like
it is brutal.
I've had people tell me that I need to get a job. I need to find a career, which is funny because I do make a living off music, not Kissing Lilith yet, but I do music for a living. I manage a DJ company. About to start managing Billy Morris's. I actually am managing Billy Morris's music studio. Like I do music for a living. It pays my bills. I've had people tell me that I need to find a nice girl and settle down,
which you have just done.
I just bought a house with her, like
with a mortgage. With
a mortgage. Like I got the fenced in backyard and everything. Like so it's just funny to me.
I don't
know that one piece out of context, that's all the context a lot of people have of me now. And the way that they perceive me from that, it's not at all who I am in real life. And I really find it interesting. I'm not mad about the comments. I'm actually going to do a reaction to because there are some really funny comments and there's some really great ones in there.
But isn't like the chat thing that they're doing now is the hey roast me thing or whatever? Everybody's doing that now.
Oh, the chat GPT thing.
Yeah. Hey roast me or whatever.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, hell, I would have done that for you for free.
Yeah, right. Well, see, the funny thing about that to me is that's the thing is I didn't know about all the vitriol in the comments section about that. Yeah. The funny thing to me is I never looked at it that way at all because I was looking, I was putting that clip together and everything, and I'd listened to the songs, of course, and so I mean I had heard the line and everything. Yeah. And the funny thing is even hearing the line before I decided to use it in the promo clip, I knew what the context was just from the name of the song, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, so do the people in the comments. They just like their own thing.
Right. So I mean, it's just it's like Jason said, the internet's going to internet. But I mean, if you just isolate that audio, if you just isolate that audio and just correlate it to the name of the song, I mean, you can probably in just a few minutes probably be like, all right, he's talking about life experience with one particular person who pissed him off. Yeah. So I mean,
if it's any consolation, I had an interaction with somebody a while back, and the guy posted on one of mine. It was just like, well, you don't even know what it was like in the 80s, motherfucker. And that's exactly what he didn't say it out, but he had like the little dots or whatever in between there. And I was like, really? I'm 49, bitch. What do you mean I don't know nothing about the 80s? Like I grew up in it.
And I kept Adam's name out of the song. I'm not going to say Adam's name, but it is about a specific person, whoever it may be.
Or was that an alias?
No, that is his real name. What? He added the O. That's so stupid. He added the O. He doesn't even speak Italian. He added the O.
Fucking. Anyway, I have my opinion. My opinions that's what gets us on fire is when people talk shit about Gavin, I kind of go off. I'm like, oh, here it comes.
No. So he's my defender, which I tell him he doesn't have to be. But at the end of the day, It's all engagements. God, when someone like shit posts on us, it's all engagement.
I love it, dude. I'll do it while I'm taking a shit, and there's just some guy going off. I'm like, listen, man, I'm just killing time, and I'm killing you.
Well, it's just like I seen a story today, and I can't remember who the band was, but they were bitching because they had posted something about something political or whatever, and I was just like, I kind of posted something underneath it, and I said to the fact that I said, man, music is supposed to bring us together, not fucking drive a wedge between us like it's doing.
A lot of things are supposed to bring us together, but people have their
in his comment. So somebody had the nerve to put underneath it, well, man, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about because this is based on, this is coming from 18, so and so when the blues came around and the slaves were singing for their owners and shit. I'm like, dude, I'm not talking about 1865. I'm talking about you going to a show right now and you looking around and seeing 3,000 other people that's sharing the same thing that you are right at that moment. You could leave out that building and have 50 other differences, but at that moment, everybody in that building is there for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and that's what music should be. It shouldn't be you in here arguing about this band drive. Who cares what the band thinks? I mean, it's.
I had a college professor that put it into great layman terms. Music should always be joyful and it should be enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's it. Like if you're that miserable that you need your music to make other people miserable, I pity you. Is all I can say. It's like that says more about you than anything else because in my free time, which is very sparse, the last thing I am trying to do with my free time is to make other people feel bad for whatever they're doing. I don't have time for that. No one who's productive has time for that. So anybody that really has to go around throwing shit, also these wings are fantastic. You can so good. Oh my God. Good. And they're just Papa John's wings. We were lied to. We thought they were Euro Gyro. They're Papa John's.
Wow.
Okay.
Papa John's. I'll fuck with Papa John's. Okay. Thank God they actually died. I love Papa John's. Fucking right.
Also, I'll totally agree with what you said. I like sad music. I listen to a lot of sad music. But I guess that makes me happy, so maybe you are correct.
Because it brings you some kind of solace. Like, it's not like you're just going out there, like, purposely making people miserable for the sake of being.
Right. There's definitely, a tangible difference between the two. Because, I mean, there were plenty of fucking power ballads back in the day that weren't all fucking kittens and rainbows. So, I mean, they're the two aren't mutually exclusive, for Christ's sake. But
I mean, if you think about it, 18 in Life could have been considered a power ballad, and it was about killing some devil.
Right, so exactly. That's what I mean. A power
ballad, isn't it?
Yeah, a power ballad doesn't have to be a love story.
No, it doesn't.
So I mean, that's what I mean, and one doesn't have to equate to the other. So.
Well, my thing is, like we've talked about this on the show many times, is Machine Head is probably, we know Rob Flynn's political stance. We don't care. We know his songs kind of reflect it. We don't care because when we go to see him live, he doesn't stop in the middle of the show going, fuck this side or fuck that side. He's not doing that. He's playing his music because that's what we're there for, and then we go home.
You were able to have your own political stance and have it be completely separate from your music.
Yep. Exactly. Thank you. That's the way it should be, because like I said, we go to these shows and stuff to get away from all that bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a kind of our outlet to get away from the normal everyday life, our 9-to-5s, or whatever we're going through. We're going there to get some kind of release.
Or stresses of any kind. And even if your political views vary, it shouldn't matter because at the end of the day, it's a conversation that you can have diplomatically. And who cares at the end of the day? We have more important things to worry about than an arbitrary, difference of views. So go enjoy the music, go bump your fist in the air, and let some angst out because we've all got it.
It's like I said, I've been alive. I've been alive through 6 or 7 presidents, and I've went to work every day. I've came home. I've paid my bills. Nothing's changed. Like it's just
not really.
For me, it's been the same this whole time. So
pretty much
same. It's always the same, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean,
it's not. So I mean, that's what I don't understand why you get riled up over something that's not.
Well, because it's easy. Because it's easy. It's easy to get upset over something that you can't control.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's more or less is this become a society as well. If I say this, maybe I'll get a bunch of hits and then I'll get famous, or
that's what it is.
Whatever the case is. But it's almost like, but the way you're like reacting and commenting toward the story makes you look stupid. It's like
Normally, yeah.
For 90% of the time. I mean, some people do know what they're talking about. I don't pretend to know anything about politics. Don't care to. It's just, I read stuff off of that, and I kind of use my common sense and take away from it. So it's not
I'm just so cynical with the whole process. I
this is the thing. If anybody out there believes that any certain amount of people are there for you, then you're being misled. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just,
More than likely, you can find the census and find what it actually represents for the people. But I'm not trying to get all geopolitical on you either. That's a whole different type of debate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
100%. Yeah.
I was just putting it out there.
I think most
you said, it can be separated, and it needs to be.
And most of the population will agree with you. It's very rare that I find in my own interpersonal connections with people that I find that they are outside of the norm, where they have the outliers, where they get very very opinionated on these things. Most people are going to be like the four of us who are like, okay, you know what? Makes sense. We can have a legitimate conversation about it. Move on.
Yeah.
I would say that is the majority of my actual interactions with people have been. Now, the internet, again, is its own outlier of things, where you have people that when you have no filter and you have no consequences and no accountability.
That's what it is.
That's more or less what it is. Exactly.
That's what it is. A bunch of fucking keyboard warriors. Exactly. It's like you can't reach me from here. So that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, actually, I told a guy the other day. I said he had said something negative to another person in the chat, and it was like the guy didn't really say anything out of the way. The other guy just got pissed off because he could not come back with a rebuttal. So he kind of said something, and then everybody was like piling in on him. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll pile in on him too. And I just kind of like, I've walked past better motherfuckers than you to get to a fight. So
you ain't never lying.
Okay, so talking about the fourth single, you said that there's going to be a music video for that. Now, I know that there's video clips of some of the other songs on your social media platforms. Now, is the upcoming video for the fourth, is that the only official music video that you guys have out right now?
Yeah. So the fourth single that we released, "Kiss Me Kill Me," is going to be the third single. That has a AI visualizer lyric video that we did. We had done by Fontenska, I think is how you say her name on TikTok. I'll have it tagged when we post it. But for the fourth single, we will be doing a music video, and that will be our first music video. We're actually going to be shooting with Abe Robinson of Blind 7 Studio.
Okay.
But Blind 7, the photography studio, they worked with Mushroomhead. They did like their big, all their big videos are of them. The Mansfield Prison here in Ohio, they do all the advertising for them.
Okay,
yeah. So they got some really big ticket people that they've worked with, and I mean, as far as like video goes, and a lot of photography, like they're the best of the best for what they do, and especially in this area. On top of that, Abe, he knows the organizers of incarceration.
Okay.
That is how I got reconnected with him, and that is how Ghost Addict got onto incarceration, because Abe shot a video for them when I was in the band, and Adam asked him for a favor to help him get onto incarceration, and so Abe called in a favor and got him on there.
Okay.
So that is why they got on. It's not because they're an amazing band or because they're older and experienced or whatever. It's because they know people, which is fine. Right. That's part of the business. That's how you do things. You shake hands, you meet people, you make friends. That's what it is. But acknowledge that's what it is. And so I now write for Blind 7. I write for the photography company. I'm starting to take on a more predominant role as well with helping with marketing and a bit of management and creative processes for projects. And so I'm going to have Abe do our video and then hopefully help us get into incarceration.
Oh, that would be cool as hell. Yeah,
that would be cool as hell. Wouldn't that be such a crazy fucking comeback story too?
Yeah.
To be told a month before that show, I've never been to it. Playing it was supposed to be my first time going there. So to be told that I wasn't good enough a month before the show, and then come back playing the fucking show with my own project.
With your own band, yeah.
Yeah, but that'd be a hell of a comeback. Yeah, that's a Rocky Balboa story.
Yeah, we gotta make that happen. That's gotta happen. So.
Yeah.
Well, and
so another thing is like Ohio seems to be like a hotbed for you know, like for certain stuff like that, especially because I mean there's Sonic Temple there too. So I mean, you know, and plus you know DWP's owns both of those. So I mean, that's always a good.
That's fine.
We're listening. We're multitasking. We're looking at goals.
Yeah, no. So Ohio, Cleveland specifically. Ohio and Cleveland strangely important in pop culture, in politics, in American history in general. For whatever reason, Ohio is very important, and Cleveland specifically. You know, as far as musicians, rock stars, athletes that come out of it, we are definitely fortunate to be where we are, especially right now. Because I've noticed at least. You know, I've noticed significantly in the last 5 years alone a shift in the music scene as far as, you know, a lot of lack of egos overall between bands, a lot of camaraderie. Yeah, a lot of camaraderie. A lot of people trying to build things together rather than build things on their own and tearing down others along the way. So I think that's also kind of setting up a path for success for us as well, is the fact that there's really becoming a big culture shift with the new generations of bands moving in and the older ones kind of fizzling out with either kids or work or drugs or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing like a lot of bands now. Like we're seeing it here as we have a friend of our show, a band that's a friend of the show, has been for years, is Halo Scars out of Knoxville. They've been opening up for acts like Escape the Fate,
Fear Factory,
Fear Factory, Nothing More, Born of Osiris. They play with all these people now over the last year or so. So I mean, it's like I think like we talk about how do we move forward from Metallica and Megadeth, because these guys are getting older. They're going to be eventually having to not play. So where do we go? Those bands have to start bringing younger bands on tour with them, so people will be like, oh, I like this band now because they tour, and then it's like, maybe years later they say, oh, I remember those guys, they toured with Metallica. Hell yeah. So, I mean, that's where it's got to start. So if, the bigger bands aren't willing to take on the smaller guys or the local guys. So luckily they're in an area where these bands come through like, hey man, y'all got a local band that will open for us. And so they just happen to be in a hotbed right now where everybody's coming through that area. So, and if you're saying like, and if you guys are saying like Cleveland's, the big town there, and I know a lot of bands don't miss that town when they do tours. So it's like you guys are in the hot seat for a great opportunity, I think. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And also too, with the newer bands, it's TikTok. I mean, that's what it is. It's the TikTok bands. That's where everybody's getting seen. That's where everybody is launching. That's where everyone's getting exposure for minimal dollar, organically. That's where people are finding each other. That's where people like us are reaching out to people like you, just saying, hey, would you like to do something together? And you say yes or no, or you ignore, or whatever it is, or we spend an hour and 45 minutes on a call together, hanging out.
In a car too. So.
That's right. Yeah.
A very Wild West era of it, because for the longest time, everything has had to go through a corporation or a label of some sort in order for artists to be seen. And now that we own a lot of means of our own production, we can do things like this where 20 years ago, if you would have had a podcast with two dudes in a car, talking to you guys, no one would have paid attention because this is trashy. Now that's kind of the norm. It's like, make it very DIY. It shows a little more sense of community, and it's a lot more relatable, where I'm in that seat too, where if I watch somebody that's got a huge production, a lot of times I'm going to look at it and be like, cool. And then I'll swipe. And obviously that's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, but for me,
Sure. Yeah.
I get quite a bit more amusement and engagement out of watching the process of people come up as opposed to just seeing the end result. So I think that the process of doing something is exponentially more interesting than just seeing somebody blow up, or as a lot of the internet will say, like where they are industry planted, or et cetera, whatever they're going to call it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I like DIY stuff because it's very unfiltered. It can be very unhinged, and you don't really have to worry about appeasing the masses. Whereas, like, you have to worry about keeping in line with PR or anything else that has a guideline. Like Gavin and I could say whatever the fuck we want to say.
Right.
There's no one to stop me. I have no reason to lie or to have anything pushed or propagated for an agenda. This is it. Like, this is Kissing Lilith. It's two guys literally in a car making music. I'm a very blunt and honest person. Like, this is it. This is it. You like, listen to the music or don't.
Yeah, and it's the same. And it's the same thing with us. We I came to Chris with this vision, and he kind of jumped on it, without a hesitant. He was like, fuck yes, let's do it.
I was all about it. I was like, oh my god,
because the main thing, when guys like you reach out, I go and look at your following. I'm like, okay, can I help these guys? If I go online, you got 200,000 people already following you. I'm like, I don't know what I can do to help you. You're already there. You know what I mean? So if I go in, you got like 1,000, 2,000 people. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can help these guys, or, help me help you, kind of thing. Like I've always said, it's like, I want to get bands that we think should be, more than what they're getting. You know what I mean? I feel like you should be in more people's ears.
Exactly. Yeah.
And and it's also a privilege to us to have people like you reach out, because it's like, oh,
that was amazing.
You go, hey, I don't know if you've seen us on something or what, or just seen the emblem on TikTok or what happened. But
I'm being completely transparent with you about it. So what I did is, I know we got the new single coming up, is I went on TikTok and I just typed in metal podcast, and I just messaged everybody that I could to try to get somebody to get amazing. Because it never hurts to ask. It never hurts to ask, and when people say yes, we end up making great memories, experiences, great content. It helps us out, helps you guys out, gives you something to talk about and do. But like, I do that for this. I'm going to start doing it for radio stations. I do it all the time for influencers. I message them like, hey, we'll make you consider, using our song in one of your videos. And most people just say, oh yeah, no, we'll do it for free. Thank you so much for reaching out. Because people who entertain, more often not, especially us, need to know the topic to entertain with. If you are given, like you guys as podcasters, if you're given a block of 2 hours and you got to talk about something, there might be days where like, what do we talk about? But I figured if we message you and say, hey, can we come on the show? Now you have 2 hours to talk to us about everything we got going on. It builds that block for you. So I'm always one for reaching out and just asking.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Like I said, we usually don't turn down anybody. If we look up, we listen to singles, we're like, hey, that's it's metal, so let's go. It's if you send me something that's country, of course I'm not going to be like, it's called Metalheads Unite for a reason. It's not. I'm not going to entertain. I know we're from Nashville, but I'm not going to entertain anybody from country.
I'm not from Nashville.
Well, you're not. But it's this, and like you was talking about the ghosting thing. I think that's one of the things that I always tell Chris that pisses me off worse than anything. Just say no. Just say, hey, appreciate the opportunity or appreciate the invite, but we're too busy. I have had people do that, and I appreciate that. And I'll tell them, say, hey, appreciate your honesty. Thank you. Maybe we can hook up later, whatever. Yeah, but just to ghost somebody just always pisses me off. I'm just like, especially when you look and I'm like, dude, I'm like I said, I'm looking at your following here. It's like you could use everything you can get. So I don't know why you're turning anything down. Yeah. And then we've had people on the show that have a built following and still come on the show. So I mean, it's just like,
right. Yeah.
It's probably people, he's like, oh, check out this band. I'm like, oh yeah, they're cool, man. Let's invite them on. So we'll invite them on, and then they're like, oh hell yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, it's like I'll put out 3 emails, and then the one that I don't expect to get anything back is like, "Hey, let's do it." I'm like, "Wow, that's fucking crazy."
Right?
Like, it's not the one I was expecting to get back to us, but it's usually the way it works. And like, and I like to do it the way we do it live because I don't want to take out. I always see people like cutting up videos, right? But I don't want to like interview you guys and then go in and edit it to what I think should be on there because it's my content, because that's not what we do. We're promoting you guys. So I feel like everything that you're saying and you're doing should be on my podcast.
That's right.
Because this is for you. This isn't. I mean, it is for us too. Don't get me wrong, but it's mainly to boost you guys.
Shit.
And
and Cody probably hit a cord, unplugged a cord or something. So
he hit something with his glasses. Oh man! Somebody. Hopefully they'll be back, because I did have a couple more things I wanted to talk to those guys about. So hopefully they'll get back on here in a minute. But yeah, it's
again, this is another thing that we like about doing the live show, because you never know. It shows the human side of it. Hey, we're not experts with this thing. We don't have big production. We don't have all these gadgets and all these dials and buttons and everything. I mean, we have headphones, we have a computer or a laptop, and we have a microphone, and we have the ability to use a platform to where we can reach out via email or our social media and get in contact with people, or vice versa. And we can come together and we can just chill out for a little bit, for a couple hours on a Friday night, Saturday morning, whatever it may be.
And like we said before, we've been lucky enough and blessed enough to have people that are in, PR reps for certain record labels in our inbox all the time, and we're able to set stuff up that way. So I mean, that's been kind of a ammunition that we haven't had in the past. So
right, but that's something that that specifically is a relationship that we have been able to cultivate, that we were super duper appreciative for. And there's another email chain there's another chain in our email, in our inbox, and hey, they made it back.
Yeah, they made it back. Goodness. We have to join from another phone.
Hey, we heard you missed us. We're back.
Yeah.
Josh back. I brought my pencil.
Give me something to write on, man.
I don't. Phone overheated.
I don't feel tardy.
Yeah. But we were just saying, like, we've been lucky and blessed enough to be able to do this for the 5th year now. We're going on our 5th year, so never in our imagination did we think that we would start this 5 years ago and going on 5 years ago and be talking to bands for the last 3. It was kind of like a point we built up a pretty decent fan base, and we're like, we got 300 or 400 people following us here, and so many following us here and here and here. So, man, let's reach out to bands, man. We got.
Yep.
I mean, at least when they see what we have going, they can be like, okay, so that's that many more people that could potentially be fans of ours. So, and that's and of course we built fan bases, up to what we're up to now, but on Facebook we're pushing 700. So it's nothing crazy, but it's like plus I'm real particular, because like I don't just let anybody in, because I don't want all that
right.
Hey, great content. You want to, so I don't need all that bullshit.
Yeah, and the funny thing,
I'll view people's profiles. I'll make sure they're active currently, and not something from 2021, and you haven't posted in 4 years. Like, no, we're not doing that. Like, you have to be active. I have to know you're real, so that
and
kind of thing.
that you really are here
for Metalhead,
that you are here for the music. But one thing that we were saying, when you guys disappeared for a second, that's another example of why we do like to do this live. Nothing gets missed.
Yeah.
You guys had a little issue with the phone there. I mean, we've had microphones
Wi-Fi go out.
Yeah, we've had Wi-Fi go out.
Matter of fact, I think you've had to carry the show for like 30 minutes before I got situated.
Yeah, so I mean, there's been times where
and I'm the one that set everything up. So
we've had Wi-Fi go down. We've had storms go through, power outages. I mean, we've had microphones not work. We've had microphones. oddly enough, work too well and caught everything. And so, I mean, but it's literally the organic flow of everything. Nothing that we've ever put on air has been edited. Nothing. And anything.
Well, like we talk a lot after people go out. Like once this is over, we'll talk for a few minutes between us, and then that gets edited out, of course, for a couple of the platforms that we can't go live to. But
none of the good stuff.
Yeah, none of the good stuff.
What the people want to see. Also, while we were gone, he ripped ass while he exited the car. It diesel fire, and it was terrible.
You're smart.
Yeah, I know.
Did you?
But it still crop dusted me, you cocksucker.
I was about to say, was it a?
My sexual orientation has nothing to do with my farts.
Well, that's not necessarily 100% true.
Wait, what? Leave this foot fetish alone.
This portion of Metalheads Unite is sponsored by Papa John's Chicken Wings.
If I get an endorsement by Papa John's, that would make the world for me.
I'm waiting.
I would do anything.
Anything for those unlimited.
I would lick his feet.
It's so funny. I'm waiting to get a flag for some of that stuff when I mentioned like these bands.
It does kind of, it tickles my fancy in a certain kind of foot fetishy kind of way.
You enjoy Kill Bill.
Yeah. We're gonna get a hate email from Papa John's. Don't mention this on your show. We're not sponsors.
If anything, I'm going to give them more publicity. If you want to have fun and hang out with the cool kids, obviously that aren't just crazy nut jobs. Have yourselves one of these.
Better get you some Papa John's pizza and wings.
Jolly partying on a Tuesday. Why don't you?
100%.
Peppers, Dunkin' Hines, and peppers. Get some Papa John's, you fucking good. Why didn't you?
That's great. Oh man. So kind of going back, I've seen a few little different images on online about y'all's logo or anything like that. So is any of that permanent? I know I've seen like a Kiss thing and like Kissing Lilith wrote on that or something, and then just like your name wrote on. So is there any kind of like fonts or something you guys are gonna like work with? Or?
The lips have been like that. That was the original logo, and then the apple's like a secondary logo. I've been really shit about using the logo and putting it around, so I'm definitely open to changing it to something else, or if we come up with something more iconic or something more original.
Yeah, something before the Stones or the Beatles come after us.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. It was just kind of the first thing that came to mind because Cody's allowed me to be really the creative force behind this, and which has been an amazing feeling to be not only trusted, but to be able to just express myself that way. However, it has been a lot, especially in the beginning, when we had absolutely nothing. And so the logo was kind of one of the last things on my mind. So I just did one of the first things that came to mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It just has to exist, and then as time goes on, and we have more of a following, and we have more of a brand, then it makes sense to update it. But I feel like too many people they overthink it in the beginning, as opposed to just creating. And the whole purpose of this project was to just create music and then see what happens. I feel like everybody has too much of an end game before the game has even begun.
Yep.
So be creative and be in a band and just see what happens. See if people even like it. I hate when bands start and then they've already spent $800 on merch. I'm projecting. But when they spend like $800 on merch and you have all this other stuff that's wrapped up into it, and you're like, well, dude, I mean, are you going to be able to move that? Are you going to be able to get a return on your investment? Does it make sense? Do you have fans? Or is it just your friends?
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. And to me, it's like, maybe just test the waters. It's okay to have something that's a little cringy at first because it allows you to try different things and see what works for you and what makes your authentic art. But I find too many bands in the beginning jump the gun and they'll dump a ton of money and a ton of time and a ton of energy into the wrong things, and then they break up in a year or two, and then like, oh, well, this just sucked. Instead of realizing, okay, maybe I should approach this from a business perspective and think, let's see how things work out with minimal resources, and then we can allocate more resources into something when we have something a little more streamlined with more data. I digress.
Well, that's just I didn't really start making anything or getting anything made for us until we actually started interviewing bands. So it's like once we did that, then I was like started getting ideas about what I wanted as far as merch. But you know, the emblem in the background is our newest shirts. That's why I keep it in the backgrounds just to kind of promote that. But it's like every year that we do this is kind of a I don't even think I have one in here with me. But it's more or less like a tour shirt.
Hang on a second.
Oh, you do have one?
I got it in the closet over here. Hang on.
But it's like, you know, I do the emblem on the front. I do a different one every year. And then it'll be a world tour like on the back and it's basically the band's hometown that we talked to and the date that we talked to them. So it's just kind of giving a feel of a tour shirt, you know what I mean? So did we go on tour? No, but that's where everybody we talked to was from. So it's kind of of just a you know, kind of a catch all from actual band shirts,
right?
But see, so I mean that's you know.
Oh, hang on.
So that was the 23, and then we're waiting on a 20. We got a guy that's was a friend of the show that we've talked to. He used a guy that we'd like to artwork, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll hook you up with him." And you know, so we've been, you know, he's sending us stuff. We're saying, "Hey, do this with different color or you know whatever." So we're still trying to finalize the last year's shirts. Hopefully, we get that done soon because I don't want to be August trying to print new shirts.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got like a $1,200 worth of equipment behind me to do, you know, to press them and stuff. So, you know, it's kind of a DIY, like you said. We're DIY. So I mean, it's not if I'm selling 500 shirts, then of course it's going to be, you know, it's going to have to be done somewhere else. I can't do that, but you know.
But I like your idea, though. I think that we did something very similar with this last photo shoot that we did. It is very inclusive for the people participating in your podcast to be a part of it.
Right.
And me, I would love to wear a piece of merchandise like that because it shows that we were a part of something as opposed to it just being a shameless cash grab where it's like, oh, buy it. It's like it means something. And I personally resonate with that a lot more than shameless cash grabs. So
to me, I just now like I said, I just got a mass production of these because we went to the podcast convention. And I took them with us there. So I made sure I had like different sizes for that. So I haven't reached out to any of the bands that are on that shirt yet, but I am going to because I feel like, you know, you were on it. So actually I did give one to Martin Montnick while we were at the podcast. I seen him. I was like, oh, hey, here's a shirt. You were on this. So it's like,
that's right. Yeah, he was.
So I feel like, you know, that to me is, you know, you'll be wearing it somewhere and then somebody's going to say, hey, what's that? You know,
right. Word of mouth.
You know, so it's kind of like, you know, you're going to be helping us at some point. You know, just because you were on the shows, and we're going to give you a little gift for being on the show. So it's kind of, you know, wear it, don't wear it. I can't make you wear it, but I mean, I'll just hey, you were part of what made our year successful. Here you go.
That's right.
I will wear it everywhere. To the gym, to the grocery store, grandmother's funeral. I will wear it everywhere.
We got a friend of the show that we actually talked to him twice last year because they actually was over producing music last year. He did an EP and they did an EP and an album last year, so they were really busy. Wow. So and he cuts the sleeves out of all this stuff. And I already told Chris, I said, I know when I give it to him, he's just going to cut it out. it's just, but that's fine. I mean, like I said, it's his shirt to do what he wants to with. He was part of the show. He kind of helped the content for that year. So here's a shirt, and then I know he'll probably wear it on stage at some point. So just to me, if I ever see a picture of one of you guys wearing that on stage, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's fucking awesome, you know?
Oh yeah.
And then I'll probably post it in all of our stuff going, hey, look at, you know, so and so wearing our shirt.
Because it builds your brand and it builds your whole community. Because nothing to me is cooler than just being a part of something that is bigger than myself and being able to say, you know what? Yeah, I am going to shamelessly show off the fact that I was on this podcast because why wouldn't you? It's cool. You did something. It's something to do with your life. It's exciting. And people should be very proud to be able to showcase that they have their name on something and to wear it in public. So,
and we've got,
I'll wear two.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot of merch from other, from bands that have been on the show too. They're just like, oh, well, send us your email, or send us your address and our email, and we'll send you some stuff. All right, cool. Like, I don't ask for it, but
not going to.
We kind of bring it up casually like we do now, and then they're like, oh, hey, if y'all want some stuff, hit me up afterward. Like, okay. Or they'll email us after the show, like, hey man, if y'all want some merch, just hit us up. And we'll kind of. And then I told the guy, Chris, Ash's Ring toilet paper. So yeah, so it's
into toilet paper.
Yeah, he actually they were doing that during the pandemic. They made their own toilet.
There's a band that's become friends of ours. They're called Ash's Rain, ASHES. And we finally got to meet them in person. They were in Middle Tennessee not too long ago. And one of the I had to have it because one of the fucking merch things that they had was their own toilet paper, and it said Ash's Rain. But they turned it into Ass's Rain. And I had to have it. So
that's pretty funny.
It's one of those novelties. Like, how can you not have it?
That's
exactly what I was thinking. It's like, I have got to have one of those.
And that's another thing too, is we love supporting the bands that are being on the show. Like I said, that just, to me, that shows that we believe in the bands that come here. That's the reason we're promoting you guys, because we believe you guys should be thinking. If I don't go to your show when you're in town, then
what's the point? Yeah.
Do I really believe in what I'm doing?
It's all about building a community and everything. It's really
that's 100% what it is.
And we do appreciate really being on the show. I hate to have to start to cut it short though, but I have an hour drive ahead of me, and it's 1 a.m. here.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's 1:15. Fuck, it's 1:15. You figure I would know that? I'm from the Eastern time zones. You figure I would know that? But
darn it, Chris.
No, you're good, brother. I would talk to you guys for another 2 hours if I had the time.
That's why
you're good, man. So real quick before you go, just want to tell anybody out there where to find you guys.
Yeah, you can find us on any social media, mostly TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We do have a YouTube as well that I post on sometimes. We started to post band interviews where we interview each other. We answer questions. We're going to be doing those monthly. And then I'll post clips of those on TikTok and everything to try to attract more people to go watch the full video. The full video is uncut, so you can see all the little side quests and things that we talk about.
We do side quests a lot.
Yep. We're also starting to post covers on YouTube as well. Cody does guitar covers. I do vocal covers. I'm getting ready to do a vocal cover of Wither by Tech Nine and Corey Taylor. I'm going to be doing that this weekend, and then start posting that after we record it. Yeah, very excited about that one. So you can follow us on YouTube, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. Message us anytime that you want. Our door is always open. We're always happy to hear from you. Our music is on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, all of that.
Awesome. It's also on Roblox.
So
Roblox,
I'm not lying. I put our music on Roblox, so you can.
It's also on Roblox. Okay.
The silliest things that you find.
Right, but hey. Again, if you guys want to, feel free to join our group, like our page on Facebook, post whatever you want to in there. That's what it's for.
Absolutely.
We basically created that for, we don't do much on there. We just share news stories and videos. If you don't share it, and we come across it, we're probably going to share it. So it doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter either way. But I think we're following you guys on pretty much everything.
We are.
We're on. So
we are.
Right. Yeah.
So
I'll make sure to go through some more.
Hopefully we don't. Hopefully we don't miss anything, but sometimes we do. But
just two guys with a podcast.
Right. That name was already.
Two guys with a band.
Yep. Actually, my multiple personality return as I'm 3 people.
Shut up.
Well, hey man, we do appreciate it, man. We appreciate you guys taking your time out to come on here. Hopefully, you guys can land a drummer and a guitarist or bassist or whatever you got, whichever way you guys decide to go that way. So hopefully you guys can land that and get things rolling, man. I really I love the sound, dude. I really do. I'm a metalcore guy, so you're kind of right in my realm. So, but yeah, I love. So I think you guys, once you get everything rolling, man, I don't think you're going to have any problem. Going anywhere, man. I think you guys are going to be pretty successful.
As long as they're excited about the project, That's really all that we want, though. We just want them to be excited about the project and to be inspired enough to write as often as they want so we can put it together. One of my favorite bands of Mice and Men has the best philosophy I've seen in modern hardcore. Love them. They have such a great philosophy. There are no bad song ideas. We're just gonna work on what is best. And I like that all 4 of them in the band write, and I feel like what I want out of the other members is to be able to come to the table with song ideas and be like, hey guys, this is what I have. And instead of us just being like, nah, I want to be able to at least flesh them out and look at the best parts of them, and at the very least be able to take something out of it, even if it's just a riff, and be like, you know what, we have the opportunity to make this into something really interesting that I think other people are going to genuinely enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah, and what really killed me with those guys, was it Austin that had to leave, I think, years ago, a couple years back, I think, of Mice and Men.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I was asking him. I thought he was talking about it, so I figured he might know. I think that was the one that had to leave. Austin, they had Mar fans, so you could.
I have no idea the band member. I am so bad with band member names.
Well, I am too, because like
so
we do
with band member names, except for Avenged Sevenfold and Tool. No idea.
we do so many news stories. It's kind of like, I don't remember, but I think I think it was Austin Carlisle that actually was in the band in the early of Mice and Men years. I think he had to leave around 15 or 16 because he had a Marfan's disease, and they told him if he kept singing that it would eventually kill him, because all that stuff is kind of an overgrowth. So so unfortunately for him, that's but I mean the band's carried on and they've done well. So I mean, good for them. I think he has done some guest appearances here and there, so it's been good. So. Anyway, I don't want to keep you guys anymore. I know you said you had a long drive, and I don't want to keep you any longer. So,
I appreciate
it. We appreciate you guys, man. And like I said, we'll share whatever you guys come up with. We'll be glad to share it, man.
And hey, the open invitation to come back anytime.
Yeah, for sure.
We'd love to. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, you know how to find us.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
All right.
Have a great night, guys.
Have a great
night.
You
too, man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. That was fun, dude. I mean, like going in blind and not, because you set this all up, and I'm just like, okay, I got to start listening to these guys' stuff, and like I was listening to it all week, and then to have them come on and be so, I mean, it was just
so outgoing. Yeah.
Oh, I love it, dude. I love bands like that tend to be a little bit more outgoing, outspoken. You know, it just makes everything go a lot smoother instead of sitting there trying to pull stuff out of people. You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it makes it harder for us because I'm not a journalist. So I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, okay, what can I do to get these people animated? You know, it's like,
the funny
we haven't had that happen a lot.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Well, that's true. But I mean, the funny thing is, like you said, we're not journalists, but at the same time, we made a conscious decision. You and I, we talked about this before we even started the interview processes with these bands. We wanted to try to avoid the same old tired, boring ass questions and, the stuffy formats. I mean, we wanted to get away from that. Cause I mean, of course, some of these bands, are doing some, Contortion, the first time they've been on a podcast, done anything,
which was surprising.
But that's been a little bit more of an exception than the rule. So, I mean, these guys, they do interviews in some form or fashion before they talk to us. And, we want to make it comfortable, and we don't want it to be boring. It's like, all right, I fucking answered this question a million goddamn times. So I mean, we try to avoid that. So, I mean,
which made it, the interview with Onslaught made it hard on us because it's kind of like, okay, what have they not been asked?
Right. I still think, and you and I talked about it too, after it took Nige, I think, a little bit of time to warm up to us. We got him going, but yeah, so I mean, sometimes it can be a little tough, but I mean, you got to guess like these two guys, and we've talked about it. We've talked about this before on the show too. You know, our buddy Rick, you just give him something to talk about and he'll just go. But that makes it so much easier on us. Cause I mean, there were things we brought up as like, all right, well, what about this? And then that ended up being like a 15 or 20 minute, them just talking. And that's fine. Cause we talk every week when we're just doing the regular format. When we have a band on, we want to hear what they have to say.
Right.
So if we can just be like, okay, tell us about blank, tell us about blank, and tell us about blank. And then if they do most of the talking, all the better. Because I mean, you know, they're the people that we're trying to get the exposure for. I mean, people come see us every week, you know.
And then the thing is like if you learn this about bands, how they write, how they produce. You know, you learn that because I mean they're all different. And if you haven't figured that out now, you can go back all the way back to one of the last, and then move forward to Extinction AD and. You know, from some of our more recent stuff to where, you know, we've talked about, oh man, I'm sitting there drawing a blank of who we talked to earlier in the year that was talking about all that. Golly, they're going to kill me, dude. It was, it was Shadow of the Talisman when they were on a month or so ago. And they were talking about how they you know their differences in recording processes and stuff were, and it's just amazing to me how each band does things so differently.
There's literally no one
because to me I don't know anything about it, and I'm just like I didn't realize there was that many different ways to do it. You know, so it's like I said, we're learning too as we go, which is also amazing. I mean, we're learning more about the business side of things, which we're still trying to push the envelope with getting interviews like that because we're reaching. You know, me and Chris have talked about trying to reach out to a couple of people that we know that are on the PR and marketing side of things. So hopefully we can get those lined up here soon too. So because I think that's an interesting part of because it's not always about the musicians. I mean, there's people in the background. You know what? If I could get on an electrical guy that worked with Slipknot or something on the show, I would.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I would learn to know how your day goes, man. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, what's the first thing you do when you unload? I mean, what do you unload first? You know.
There are so many elements.
Because to me, I've always been the kind of person to where I have to be in a position to where I see how everything works and functions, so I can put it all together as a whole. And I've always been that person, mainly because like when I was working at Amazon, I was kind of like that. I moved up the ladder for a reason because I wanted to see how that part worked, and how this part worked, and how that part worked. And then I went to corporate and seen how that side worked because I thought once I did that, I could put it together with what I did here. And I had a better understanding of what they want in corporate and make me a better manager here. You know what I mean? So that was my thought process of course, I'm not there anymore, but that was my thought process of making myself better
right,
and more rounded because I already know what you're wanting. So I know how to get you there.
Yep.
And that's the thing is like with music, you want to see you want to talk to the label. If we could get somebody in a label, that'd be great. You know, a PR person that promotes 20 bands or whatever, that's great. A marketing person that's, markets the bands, awesome.
Yeah.
You know, a roadie that's been with a band, bring it on. You know what I mean?
Man.
Because
just the stories alone.
That's why I'm saying we'll just get 2 hours of stories with him or her or whatever. You know, not saying they're all guys, but
it's true.
But yeah, because I've seen women there too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've seen a female at the top of one of the rafters hanging up some stuff, and I'm just like, better than you. You're better than I am.
Yeah, no, you're not getting me.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing.
Me neither.
They going back to wrestling. I know you don't want to hear that, but
no, that's fine.
One of the worst matches I hated was ladders. I hated ladders, man, because like I didn't want to climb. I did not want to climb, man, because
there's so much that can go wrong.
Because the bad thing with wrestling is you got to come down. And it's usually not the way you want to come down. So anything with heights, I've always been kind of like, I'm not a fan. So because like I said, one slip and you're pretty much a pancake. So,
well,
I mean, I'm sure they're harnessed up and stuff if they're up there doing. I would hope so.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they are, but I mean, ask Owen Hart.
Still, I watched the Corn and Gojira show that we went to in Arizona. We were watching them; they were having difficulty, and they have like the big metal pieces up there or whatever. And I seen this guy like running across it, like trying to come. I'm like, oh my god, dude, please stop! I'm like thinking, this dude's gonna fall, but he was like running across in between, in the middle of it because it's got the little hollow part in the middle. Because it's just like a square, and they turn it like into a diamond, and then he's running in the middle of it, trying to get to the other side to fix the malfunction. And I'm just like, dude, this no way. I hope they pay you really good money.
I hope they get paid. I hope they do, because they work long fucking hours too.
They do, yeah, they do, man. It's like I said, like we're a show that we want to show the appreciation for every aspect of the business. It's not, not just
because you take one element away and shit doesn't happen.
That's right.
So everything is
sound guy. Sound guy's important. I mean, everything's important. The security's important at shows, but of course, security is usually done by the venue. But that's beside the point.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
yeah. But yeah, it's all important. It all matters. It all matters.
Yeah, I just want to thank Gavin and
Cody.
Cody.
Gavin and Cody.
Cody, yeah. I don't know why I went blank right there for a minute. But yeah, Gavin and Cody. I want to thank those guys from Kissing Lilith on here. Once they release the video and their new singles and stuff, we'll be glad to share that. Actually, when I put together the playlist, I haven't done it yet because I actually had some family issues that I had to tend to. So I will put that together tomorrow. And then once they release that song, I may just throw it on this week's playlist. So
yeah.
So,
but the new single, I think they said it's "Kiss Me, Kill Me." I think is
"Kiss Me, Kill Me." Yeah,
is coming out on Sunday. So stick around. Be on the lookout for that. Listen to the other two singles they have out right now: "More Than Worth It" and "Lipstick and Gasoline." Those two are available on Spotify now. Follow all of their social media. They do have a link tree if that will be easier for you guys.
Oh yeah,
they have a link tree.
Good old link tree.
Yeah, so they have a link tree if that'll be easier for you. But I mean, they do have quite the social media presence: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff. That's how they found us. Like they said during the interview, they reached out to us on TikTok, and the rest is history. So Spotify, all the music streaming platforms. But yep, Gavin and Cody, a couple of good dudes. They're fucking hilarious, man.
They were freaking. I loved it. Like I said, I loved that. It
was a good time. It was a very good time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then of course we've also got some announcement for next week.
Yeah, we do.
So we will be on a Saturday next week. So it'll be a special day and time, Saturday at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Central. That's right.
Yeah. So we will be having another guest on from Italy. So
yep. We'll start getting into a little bit more of the specifics. Saturday at 10 a.m. Band from Italy.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
That's all you need for right now. But keep an eye out on our social media, and you'll find out who. And so that'll be probably early to midweek. We'll start making sure we spread the word a little more specific.
Oh, for sure.
About that. So yeah, but definitely by midweek. I know it took I didn't get the promo video for Kissing Lilith out as soon as I wanted to, because I didn't want it to get preempted by the Metalhead Minute. So I did the Metalhead Minute.
Oh, gotcha.
I did the Metalhead Minute first, and then I did.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I did the promo video after that. So I will do my best to get the promo video made sooner. That way it'll be out there longer, and then the Metalhead Minute won't hamper the visibility of it too much. So, because we already have it set up, so we're good to go. So we're comfortable enough to where we know that, unless something catastrophic happens, which has happened a few times, we've had to pivot a little bit. But if we end up having to do that, that's fine. But we have everything pretty much as set in stone as humanly possible at this point. Looking forward to next Saturday. So.
Let's see.
So stick around. Keep an eye out on the social media for that. Follow us on all of the social media platforms, Facebook group, Facebook page, our YouTube.
I got you.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, check out the 24/7 live radio station, stream.truelyradio247.com/8008/stream. Then, like I say, follow us on all the social media platforms, our Facebook group and Facebook page. Page is public, group is private. X, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, and that'll be it. And then that'll be it. And the email, right? And the email, metalheadsuniteusa@gmail.com. So.
Yep. So, like I said, be on the lookout for the next interview. I'll start promoting that on Monday. Yep. So give us time to get them the links and everything for their end, so they can their side. So wish I would have been a little bit more prepared for this one with them. Could have gave them a little bit more to promote for their end, but I didn't. Like I said, I have a passing in the family, so it's kind of threw a wrench in my plannings this week. So it was actually out of town too, so I had to go out to another state. So
that's just one of those things you can never be. You can never plan for. Yeah,
you can't control it. So I mean, it's just kind of like one of the things that we're all going to have to go through at some point. So unfortunately, so
100%.
Yeah, so we just got to make do with what we got. So
that's right.
So 100%. That's why you spend every Friday with Metalheads Unite.
That's right. little bit of a break from the hustle and bustle and all of the stresses of the week. So that's why we do it. So
yeah, exactly. This is kind of our our outlet, I guess, as you could say, as we were talking about earlier with concerts and stuff. That's kind of an outlet that people use, and this is kind of our outlet from our 9-to-5s and everyday life, and gives us our time to ourselves, and this is our entertainment enjoyment. So it's hopefully everybody watching enjoys at least the band portions, I would hope. So I know we're kind of same format when we're not having bands. We kind of have the same format, so that could be understandable if you don't stick around for that sometimes. But hopefully you stick around and at least watch the bands, because that's kind of what we do this for. And hopefully you find a new band to follow and throw in your catalog that you listen to. So. And then I guess we will also, speaking of, we will post our album reviews in the Facebook page and Facebook group. So if you're not part of that, or like the page, you might want to check that out. So if you will be on top of the upcoming album reviews.
That's right.
So anyway, and then we had talked a little bit about this, but I guess we could talk a little bit about before we go is, Machine Head's new album came out, and I think me and Chris kind of, I'll let you tell what you didn't like about it, I guess. But
well, here's the funny thing. I like every Machine Head album. Every Machine Head album, they're all good. There's Machine Head to me is there's almost like two different eras of Machine Head, kind of like there's two different eras of Pantera. Mm-hmm. They're not quite so day and night like Pantera. But, there are two eras of Machine Head, and this new album, I listened to it today. I honestly liked Kingdom and Crown better.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, I liked Kingdom and Crown better. Like I told you when we were texting back and forth, it's still Machine Head. It still sounds like them. I did like a little of some of the surprises they threw in there. Wasn't quite expecting the amount of piano that was in there, but I don't think it was too much, and it wasn't like the songs that had the piano, that's all there was. So it was just kind of a little bit of an interesting dynamic that they threw in there. So I don't think Rob overdid it with that, with that aspect. Maybe not quite as up tempo as I would have expected. So maybe a little more overall, more mid tempo. I mean, there were some moments that had some upbeat stuff, but the overall vibe of the album was a little more mid tempo.
Yeah, I kind of was hoping it was going to be a little heavier too.
Yeah. So that did kind of take the edge off, admittedly. Don't like the fact that it's listed as 12 tracks and you don't get 12 tracks.
Right.
So that kind of bums me out, especially considering that Kingdom and Crown did the same thing, where the tracks that you got, you basically already heard half of them.
Right, from an EP, yes.
Yeah. So, when I saw the track listing, I was like, okay, cool, 12 brand new tracks. It's not really. And we've talked about this on the show before. It's kind of a pet peeve of ours. I think it annoys me more than it does you. But I guess it all depends on the layout. But to me, I don't know. It kind of feels like false advertising sometimes, but
yeah, I get that.
So I think I maybe felt a little shortchanged on this album because of that, especially with what happened with Of Kingdom and Crown, with them taking the EP and smushing it in, and so it wasn't completely all original songs either. But like I say, I'm a Machine Head fan. I probably always will be. Not their strongest album. Of Kingdom and Crown was better. Still plenty of stuff on the album that I enjoyed for sure.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, kind of like you, probably expected a little bit more signature heaviness from them that we didn't get. So
yeah,
I wouldn't definitely not a failure, but
it's definitely not. It's definitely not something that, like, right at this moment, I would even put in my top 10. But
I would probably echo that sentiment, especially with what's come out so far this year and
what's to come.
and what's to come. Yeah. So yeah, you're probably right on that.
Which is kind of odd because I think, we probably echoed the same sentiment on the last two Machine Head albums, that we thought they were, definitely in the top albums that we listened to that year. So, so it's kind of ironic for us to say that this early too. It's just like, probably not going to make it this year.
Well,
but like I said, like you said this before, it just shows the content of what's coming out, what has came out. So
so it doesn't necessarily, like I say, it doesn't necessarily mean that the album is a failure. It's just a little. It's just a little different, and different is good. Don't get me wrong, different is good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to hold up throughout the rest of the year. We're only to the end of April. We still have 7 full months of this year to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but and first impressions are important, and
they are. Yeah.
We neither one of us was absolutely blown away by the album on first listen. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Did I love it? I can't say that I loved it on the first listen. Yeah. I did enjoy it. I can't say that I loved it right off the bat.
And I did check out the new Wednesday 13 too. I thought
I still have to do that.
That was actually a pretty good album. I thought it was.
I still have to do that.
So that one was good, and then of course we had a one that we'll talk about next week, because we're not going to tell you right now.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you
because that gives everything away. So, but yeah, we'll be talking about that new album next week. So
yeah,
I do like the funniest thing about Wednesday 13 is their play on words. I love that. With like the whole album's called Mid-Death Crisis. That's pretty funny. There was another one too, Decease and Desist. I thought that was
I like that.
And then there was another one I thought was pretty funny with their play on words there. Where is it? Zen Ecstasy.
Yeah.
It was like when I seen that, I'm like, how are they going to? How is this song going to work? I was kind of like wondering where they're going to go with it. But when I listened to it, I'm kind of like, okay, I got you. Okay, it's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. So, but yeah, so I mean, there was some good stuff out. Like I said, I'll be more into what else I'll listen to throughout the week when I do the playlist. I'm sure, but
right.
I'm sure I'll add some stuff to check out. So
yeah, because it was one hell. I mean, it was a long list of stuff that came.
Yeah, it
was a ton of new stuff. And I mean, even on top of the albums that came out, Primal Fear had a new single out.
Yeah,
Sabaton had a new single out. So I mean, so that's the thing is, even with all the album reviews we have to deal with every week, there's also singles that get released every week that aren't that we don't even have like it. We have to pay extra attention to that because that shit's not listed on our album release list.
Slaughter to Prevail too got a new one,
so. Right? So I mean, we have to be
Fit for a King, Bury Tomorrow, which their album will be coming out soon.
Yeah. So
Employed to Serve had a new song. Like, I mean, there's a lot of big bands on this list this week. So
there is.
Yeah, I was actually looking through there and I'm like, wow. I like Alice Cooper had a new single out, which is crazy.
Yeah, the first single with the original band in over 50
original
years.
Band. Yeah, that is wild, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I was trying to see if there's anybody else on this thing. There's the Primal Fear. Yeah. I mean, it's like even the new release, the new metal release on Spotify is even like 70 something songs. I'm like, Jesus Christ!
There's a lot of stuff this week.
Yeah, so it's pretty extensive. So, all right, guys. I guess we won't keep you any longer. Hope you enjoyed the interview there. Like I said, we will we'll get that posted to our other socials later on, as I still have some editing to do for some previous stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so far behind.
But yeah, thanks again to Gavin and Cody from Kissing Lilith for joining us.
Yeah. So that, especially from I appreciate them letting us know about that that festival that they I guess it's kind of a festival they went to, is whatever they called it there, but what they call Homie Fest. That's what it is. Yeah. So I actually wrote down 3 of the bands on that, so I'm going to check those guys out too. So,
absolutely.
So that way, if they ever get on the show, like, hey man, Kissing Lilith told about you. Kissing Lilith told about you, yeah. So,
that's right.
All right, guys, we will close this one out, and just remember next Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, just in case. We will, like I said, we'll remind you throughout the week on the socials, so be on the lookout for those announcements. So for our next interview, so we'll be way behind on regular stuff. by the time we come back for regular stuff, which I mean, it's not unusual. We had like an 8-week streak last year, so I mean,
that's right. Yeah, we did.
So it's not. We went 2 months without any kind of interaction with news, or we just had to post it on the group and stuff. So
keep up with it the best we can. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is actually another reason to make sure you join the Facebook group, because on weeks when we're expecting to have a live guest, we don't devote our attention 100% to the current events and everything like we do when we're putting together the regular show. I mean, we keep up with birthdays, and obviously if anything major happens, deaths or, just anything major, we do our best to keep up with that. But, come Friday night or Saturday morning, we're not talking about that because we're talking to the band. So, if there's anything you feel you might miss because we're talking to a live guest, chances are, if it was major, then it was in the Facebook group.
Oh yeah, so somebody posted it there. Even if we don't, so sometimes even me or you, neither one get in there to do it. Somebody else has already. Yeah.
Sometimes Dana does. Sometimes one of the other group members does. I mean, we can't be everywhere all at once.
Yeah. So it's always something in there to keep up with. So
there is.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview. See you back here next Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Till then, keep those horns held high. Jump in that pit anytime you can.